What's going on, fellow A+ers? It's your boy Adam Perez. We are back once again with a brand new live episode of A+ Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys today. We got 6 incredible topics we're going to be diving in for you guys, honorable mentions, live viewer questions, and so much more, guys. So sit back, relax, grab your coffee or whatever you're drinking this Sunday morning or afternoon, wherever you're at, and enjoy the show. We'll see you guys on the other side. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're certainly watching A+ Hero Report from today. It is I, your host, Adam Perez, going solo dolo today. Not unexpected, as you see one of my cats roaming around in the back over there. We are getting towards the holiday season. Things are kind of busy for everybody right now. We got Christmas coming up this week, and then we've got New Year's Eve following that also. So some of us are a little bit busy here around our schedule leading into the final days or the beginnings of the holiday, if you will. So it's just myself. Stuart will probably try and be back later on next weekend. If not, I do know him and I are scheduled to meet tomorrow. We're going to be trying to record 2 videos. We're going to be recapping our 2025 most anticipated movies that we were looking forward to last year and rank them in regards to what actually was our most impressive. And we're also going to be looking to the future, giving you guys our top 5 for 2026 here. So we got a couple of videos that we're going to be planning on recording for you guys tomorrow that will be dropping throughout the remainder of the new year. So I'm looking forward to it, man. 2026. I will just say is packed right now. Like, just looking at some of the titles, I have no idea how I'm gonna like just bring this down to 5 titles. Maybe I'll throw in 1 or 2 honorable mentions, but a lot of 2026 movies I'm really looking forward to. So it's just you and me today. Nice little intimate setting, if you will, getting ready for the holidays. I don't think I should have rocked a Santa hat today. I don't think I got a Santa hat, but regardless, it's just you and I here. So look, as we go through these topics, I don't want to feel like I'm just talking to air or just talking to myself. So feel free to let your thoughts be known in the live chat as we're going through these topics, letting know some of your points of view, some of your opinions, maybe give us some great discussion topics and conversation pieces along the way, because I would love to bounce some ideas off of you guys as well. So thank you everybody for certainly joining me here today. I'm kind of curious. Look, how are you preparing for Christmas? You got any great Christmas movies you've been watching? Is all of your shopping done? Have you packed everything and ready to go? Are you doing any travels for the holidays? All this stuff I definitely would love to know. Give me one moment here. I'm going to go over to our Facebook page real quick. I need to set up just to make sure that everybody knows the live is going on here. I'm going to go ahead and send this out to our followers so that everybody can join us. And if you do follow us over on our Facebook page, let me know if you get this post now. All right, I just went ahead and sent that out. So let's see who's in the. Like I said before, because I like to hear from you guys also, I do want to give some shout outs to people that are in the live chat with us today. I'll even put up your comments on the screen here today, so I don't feel so lonely. We got Ricky Perez in the house. Hey Adam, I saw the new TMNT short Chrome Alone 2. Along with the new SpongeBob movie. It was amazing. That's right. SpongeBob, look, I got a little boy right now, okay? He just turned 4. I feel like he's been introduced to SpongeBob SquarePants a little bit too early in his life. I don't know when you guys started watching SpongeBob SquarePants, but my 4-year-old absolutely loves him. He's got a gigantic stuffy here. His aunt got him this week for Christmas. She came down from Montana, She knows that he's been loving SpongeBob SquarePants, so she got him a SpongeBob SquarePants. He saw the commercial for the movie and he's like, "I want to see that." And I'm thinking, I don't think you're old enough. I don't think you're old enough. I don't know if he's got the patience to not only sit in the theater, but I'm sure him and a bunch of other kids will probably be super loud anyway for a SpongeBob movie. But regardless, my boy's into SpongeBob now, so I'm trying to learn how to navigate my 4-year old around how much SpongeBob he gets gets to watch. It's not quite like growing up for me when it was like Ren and Stimpy. Like Ren and Stimpy, I think was even on like for me, I think even like on the bridge of maybe too far sometimes in regards to his humor. Um, but I can't remember how old I was when Ren and Stimpy came down. Not that I see Ren and Stimpy and SpongeBob in the same way. I'm sure SpongeBob has some good life lessons, you know. But I already hear my son running around the house, like fucking laughing like SpongeBob. I'm like, bro, we maybe too soon? Maybe too soon? I don't know. You let me know. But anyway, the TMNT short, Chrome Alone 2. I'm glad you liked it, man. I'm not gonna see it in SpongeBob SquarePants, but maybe if it drops on its own, I'll check it. Also, the official trailer for the 25th anniversary of The Lord of the Rings, and it will be arriving in theaters soon. That's right. Lord of the Rings is going to be releasing its movies in theaters again, extended edition, baby. Which, if you ask me, it's the only way to watch these movies now. It's the only way that I watch them. Anytime I want to revisit Lord of the Rings, it's always an extended cut. Yesterday, during the broadcast of the Family Film TV Series Awards, CBS Karate Kid Legends won favorite sports movie of the year. Really? Really? There's no other better sports movies of the year that came out besides Karate Kid Legends? That blows me away. I'm surprised. Official teaser trailer for the Muppet Show special event. That's cool. Finally saw Avatar, Fire and Ash, and it was amazing. Look, I've been hearing some good things about Avatar, Fire and Ash. I think we're scheduled to go see it on Christmas. I think that's the schedule for the family right now. Me, my girlfriend, and my parents are actually flying in from Georgia here tomorrow. I'm going to talk to them and see if they want to go see Avatar on Christmas with us. So maybe be like a nice little family event. But I look, all the trailers that I've seen from Avatar, Fire and Ash have looked incredible. I'm actually more hyped for this than I was The Way of Water, and I was already kind of hyped for The Way of Water. I kind of want to rewatch The Way of Water too, because from what I hear, it feels like The Way of Water and Avatar, Fire and Ash originally was one script that James Cameron decided to kind of split up. So they're kind of two pieces to one big overall movie. So I wouldn't mind seeing The Way of Water maybe the day before I go check out Fire and Ash, but I've heard some pretty good things about it regardless. Blossom in the house. What's up, Blossom? Good to see you, certainly, as always. We got Peg C in the house. Good to see you, man. I don't know if you're going to be able to join us for the live broadcast or if you got to work today, man, but I hope you certainly do. A little off topic. Fantasy football is wrapping up for some people. The NFL football is ramping up for some teams as we are on the march towards our playoffs. So I'm very much looking forward to the sports here in the next couple of weeks. Marcelino in the house. My questions are long today, like 2 paragraphs long, and I can shorten. But if only you agree to finish Santa Cup. Nope, nope, that's okay. I'll read the I'll read the 2 long paragraphs, Marcelino. Kiki and Luca is here. That's right. A stream is not equivalent or is not really kicking off until Kiki and Luca show up. I looking at your profile picture. Is that Kiki and Luca? The 2 dogs? Is that who Kiki and Luca is? I don't know why. I was under the impression this was like a boyfriend and girlfriend couple following me on the page, but it looks like Kiki and Luca might be 2 dogs. I don't know. We'll see. Let me know. Regardless, it's fantastic to have you guys here, man. Thank you. I know, look, when I roll solo dolo, maybe it's a little bit boring for some people. I don't know. But I try and keep you guys as entertained as possible. But with that out of the way, guys, since it's just me, let's get this show on the road and begin our first segment of the day. And we're going to get into our honorable mentions portion of the show. If you guys are not familiar with this show and how we do things around here, honorable mentions pretty much are topics that didn't quite make our cut for our top 6 this week. But we felt that you certainly should still know about them. I mean, it's only fair. It's only fair. So let me go ahead and bring up a couple things. We did get some new posters this week from a new Steven Spielberg movie called Disclosure. That's right. This has kind of been under the radar, very secretive production. Nobody has really been leaking kind of any information in regards to it whatsoever. But this week we did end up getting our very first teaser trailer for this movie and leave it up to Spielberg to certainly give us something in relation to, oh, I would say, like a UFO kind of maybe first encounter with like an alien species. Anytime you get Emily Blunt in the film, especially directed by Steven Spielberg, certainly keep your eyes out. If anything, I will say I don't necessarily know if Spielberg has been on one of his greatest roles lately, but anytime Spielberg wants to drop a movie, I think you gotta pay attention because you just never know what type of classic he certainly might drop for us, and especially when it comes to UFO stuff or anything related in regards to first contact with aliens. I'm here. They got a great moment in this trailer where it's literally Emily Blunt. I guess she's like a weather reporter, and that she's live on the news, she literally starts speaking like an alien language. It's pretty trippy. It's pretty trippy. I would have you guys definitely check it out. But again, this is called Disclosure Day. Set to go ahead and drop in June. Check out the teaser trailer if you haven't done so. You know what I am waiting for that I'm surprised that I have yet to see? Where's my He-Man trailer at, guys? Where's my He-Man trailer at? He-Man drops in June. I was kind of hoping that we would get something towards the end of the year. Granted, it's not the end of the year yet, but we are inching ever so closely. I was kind of hoping that maybe a Masters of the Universe would be attached to something like an Avatar Fire and Ash, but I'm not hearing any reports about it. Nothing has dropped over on Twitter. Now, watch later on today after we wrap up this show. Masters of the Universe trailer drops. Can you guys be my eyes and my ears for any big sort of breaking news kind of moments here while we're doing our show? So if you see anything breaking news related, please let me know in the chat. But I'm still waiting for my He-Man trailer. Next up, Power Ranger fans rejoice because it seems as though the cast may have already been chosen. That's right. We got ourselves a Power Ranger series reboot that's set to go ahead and go into production early 2026, I believe, maybe in like early spring. So I'm assuming maybe something like March or so, March or April. But it's already been confirmed that the former showrunners for Percy Jackson are in fact developing this show. And now, according to Mega Power of Brazil, they say the cast for the new Power Ranger series may have already been chosen. A new rumor suggests that we will soon meet the cast. It says now we have a rumor that came from, I don't even know this particular podcast, but it's released via Discord that has been correctly predicting several rumors related to Disney productions. According to them, a large part of the cast for the new series has already been chosen. Um, they also put in an update here for several days ago saying the new rumor also came from Nexus Point News that the five main Rangers have already been selected. The final roster was chosen weeks ago. And I tend to trust Nexus Point News also with a lot of their stuff that they put out. They've actually kind of been ahead of the curve a lot of the times in some of their announcements. I also will say our trusted source here, Jinsaku, he also has confirmed that yes, casting has already been done. So it's off to the races, y'all. It is off to the races. Power Rangers reboot is going to be here and in production, hopefully within the next maybe 3 months or so. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, casting is already announced. I'm kind of curious because when it came to like the Percy Jackson cast, I had no idea who any of these people were. I don't know if they were, if they had had past careers in other Disney projects or other shows, the main cast for Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So I'm kind of curious if some of these cast members is anybody that we even know, or if they're going to be new names and kind of fresh faces to the world. So that's probably one of the reasons why you haven't seen us do any fan casting, just because, yeah, I really don't know if they're going to get any big name people outside of maybe like if there's like a mentor or a teacher or something like that. But as far as main cast, it wouldn't surprise me if it's a lot of no-name faces or people that maybe been on small Netflix series or something like that. But I'm kind of curious if you guys have any idea who maybe some of these main cast members certainly might be. Let's see here. Also, in honorable mentions, Sean Levy this week went ahead and released a brand new set photo, as you can see here, highlighting the fact that Star Wars Starfighter has wrapped production. That's right, baby. It has wrapped production. I know there's been a lot of people that said, look, I'm not going to believe another Star Wars movie is headed our way until it's in front of cameras. Well, look, it's been in front of cameras. It's wrapped. It's going into post production. Ain't nothing gonna stop this movie from coming out unless we get like another, a knock on wood, another pandemic or something like that. But outside of that, this movie is happening. Like even Bob Iger, as much as he wants to cancel things when it comes to Star Wars, he can't touch this one as it's currently deep into beginning its post production here. So Star Wars Starfighter is certainly headed our way, y'all. Get excited. Get excited because I definitely am. Also, if you guys have not checked out the Netflix series Last Samurai Standing, please do. I had the opportunity to check it out last week. I binged the hell out of this thing, and I absolutely loved it. According to Hollywood Reporter, Netflix has renewed the series for season 2. That's right, for season 2. Some people have kind of categorized this as like The Last Samurai meets Squid Games in the sense of the point the concept of this series is it's at the end time of the samurai going through the ways of being extinct because of the introduction to military and guns and things like that, and so they are trying to rid themselves of the samurai. There's a plague that winds up sort of hitting this particular area at this time, and the last remaining samurai are doing everything that they certainly can to survive. And there's a contest that's introduced to them. Whatever your martial arts background is, if you're a samurai, whatever the case may be, come to this spot. They begin a tournament, and it's pretty much last man standing, if you will. The action is ridiculous. The choreography is gorgeous. The last battle scene is as beautiful and as epic as I have ever seen a sword battle before. But really cool characters. I love the backstory for a lot of these characters. Also, I was a big fan. I was definitely a big fan of the Last Samurai Standing on Netflix. So again, this week they just announced season 2, as it has in fact been renewed. Now there is no word yet as to when the series itself will begin production, but it is certainly on the way. So keep an eye out for that. If you have seen Last Samurai Standing, let me know what you guys think of it. I actually had a really good time with that series. Let's see here. We also have another piece of news for you guys. Believe it or not, Point Break is in the news this week. According to Deadline, there's a Point Break TV series in the works at AMC. That's right. It's this is an exclusive from Deadline. It's getting the TV treatment. AMC is developing a small screen series based on the 1991 film. It says the series comes from David Kalstein, who recently worked on Amazon's Butterfly. I don't think I've heard of that series. It says Deadline understands that the network won the project in a highly competitive situation. The series is set 35 years after the events of the original film and is focused on a dangerous heist crew with ties to the ex-president gang. So that's really the rundown for you guys. So yeah, Point Break TV series headed your guys' way. It's been a minute since I've seen that 1990s classic. It's with Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves. It's definitely been a minute for sure. There was another. I think how many more pieces of art? I think there's only one more that was worthy of talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, Man of Tomorrow is in the news here this week for a very good reason. I didn't make the topic just because I didn't know too much about this information that we're about to talk about right now, but James James Gunn himself. Look, there's been weeks of speculation in regards to who is going to be playing Brainiac in the upcoming Man of Tomorrow. We've had a couple of names that were put on the short list, and believe it or not, none of them made the cut. And maybe the short list that was introduced to us a couple of weeks ago wasn't even real for all we know. But James Gunn, on his own terms, went ahead and revealed to us the man that has been cast to play Brainiac, and that is of none other than Lars Edinger. Yeah, that's right. According to James Gunn and Deadline, James Gunn finds his Brainiac from Man of Tomorrow in Lars Edinger. German actor Lars Edinger will be Brainiac in James Gunn's Lex Luthor and Superman movie Man of Tomorrow. This is the first time that Brainiac, a very popular Superman villain in the comics next to Lex, will appear on the big screen. Um, It says he is a European award nominee. He's been nominated for a European award. Ettinger has starred in such movies as Cloud of Sils Maria and Personal Shopper. Also, you can find him if you want to check out some of Lars's work. He is on Netflix's movie Jay Kelly, along with White House, among several others. So if you want to check out his stuff, probably the easiest stuff to access would probably be the Netflix things. So Jay Kelly and White House, you can find him in. James Gunn wrote, in our worldwide search for Brainiac and Man of Tomorrow, Lars Edinger rose to the top. Welcome to the DCU, Lars. Look, this is going to be life changing for this gentleman. I'm not going to lie, there's a part of me that's kind of glad that James Gunn had a worldwide search, that it wasn't necessarily just like who's a big top name in Hollywood that a lot of people certainly know. So there's a part of me that doesn't even believe that the short list that we saw several weeks ago was even real, to be quite frank with you. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when we brought it up in the Nexus Point News, they did say that these names were not independently verified. So it definitely left a lot of people wondering. But they apparently had a worldwide casting, worldwide auditions for this. And now Lars Edinger, who for most people is not a household name, has won out and will in fact be our Brainiac. And to be honest with you, I think that is super, super cool. I love the idea of giving an opportunity for somebody like that to really shine. And if he can do a fantastic job and bring Brainiac of all people to life, I mean, that could definitely change certainly his his life going forward and of future kind of opportunities. So we're not necessarily recycling a lot of the, oh well, James Gunn has worked with this guy before, oh we've kind of seen this guy a million times in James Gunn's movies, or it's a familiar face. No, Lars Edinger, most people are like, who, and I'm like that too. So I may check out some of his stuff on Netflix and see exactly what he's going to be bringing to the table. But our Brainiac has officially been cast as Lars Edinger, ladies and gentlemen. So give it up for Lars, man, for having a great audition and impressing everybody there. Before we get into our live chat, let me before we get into our main topics, let me just go through some of these comments before we head on out. Kiki and Luca, if I were going to watch Lord of the Rings in theaters, I'd choose The Two Towers. While I love all of the Lord of the Rings movies, The Two Towers for me is probably the my least favorite. But I will say the battle at Helm's Deep is incredible. I mean, we're talking about a cinematic experience on the big screen, in the dark, in the rain, really being lit by the moonlight and the torches that are certainly going on. I mean, absolutely breathtaking. To be honest with you, I'm trying to think. We also got the introduction to Rohan, which was really cool in there. The Ents too. Yeah, some really great stuff in the Two Towers. Um, Kiki and Luca with the super chat here. Thank you so much, Kiki and Luca, for always supporting this channel. Again, remember, guys, if you do want to support the channel, super chats is certainly a way to go. I'm sure there's probably some other options on there for you guys too, if you want to. We don't have any sponsors around here, so we're truly supported by your guys' support. So check us out if you want to go ahead and help us out monetarily. A super chat will work. If you can't, because it is the holiday season, it's tight in them streets. People are living paycheck to paycheck these days. But if you do want to help the channel grow, subscribe to the channel, like this video, share this video, clip these videos. Let people know about Hero Report. Kiki and Luca say yes. Kiki is a Yorkie and Luca is an Aussie Shepherd. Very cool. Thank you very much for sharing that, Kiki and Luca. Thank you. The mystery has been solved. But yes, I appreciate it. Kiki and Lucas says, I'm hoping Disclosure is good. We need a prime Spielberg movie. I agree. I agree. I definitely am looking forward to it. Didn't he have I thought Steven Spielberg had a recent movie too with like Tom Hanks. Can't remember if it was set in Germany or maybe it was during the Berlin Wall or something like that. I can't remember the name of it, but I wanted to see that in theaters and I never got a chance to. Hunter Riggy says, "What are your thoughts on the cast of Brainiac?" We just talked about it. There you go, Hunter. I just like it's like I mind melded with you, and I knew that that was your question, and so I wanted to talk about it real quick before I even touched upon your question. But look, I like it. I like it. I like the idea that it's a fresh face. It's not somebody that we're certainly familiar with. So I have really no expectations in the fact that I'm just hoping that he does a really good job. But yeah, I'm excited to see Brainiac on the big screen. And so it's one of those things that's like if it was somebody that I knew, I would instantly probably have a level of expectations on somebody. But because of the fact that it's a fresh face, I really go into this blind and kind of just hoping for the best. Um, Kiki and Lucas says, I really like the Supergirl trailer. I really like the actress in the House of Dragon. I do too. I really do. Millie Alcock. I think she did fantastic for the time that she certainly was on House of Dragon. The trailer for me was just it was okay. I enjoyed it for what it was. It didn't knock my anticipation level up for Supergirl, but I'm already pumped for Supergirl. Like I already have faith in the Supergirl movie, so I am hoping that the trailers, the next couple of trailers that we get, kind of flesh things out a little bit more. Um, which Brainiac story arc are you hoping they adapt from the Man of Tomorrow? There's House of Brainiac, Panic in the Sky, Jeff Johns' Run, and many more I didn't mention. I'm not sure which one I would prefer. I know James Gunn just recently said he got a lot of inspirations for his Brainiac from several different arcs, whether that be the animated series, Marv Wolfman's portrayal of him. He even dropped Absolute Brainiac in the most recent Absolute Superman run, also, and some of the original like Silver Age Brainiac stories. So I don't really know which route he's gonna go. And you also have to understand, I am while I appreciate the Superman character, I've never really been like a big Superman comic collector. Like I may collect early runs, like when they do like a Rebirths and New 52 and things like that. If they've got a really great sort of creative team, I might pick up the first several kind of issues and things like that. But Superman is I don't really have a massive Superman collection. Although lately, I will say um since Josh Williamson and things like that kind of came on, they put on brand new creative teams. I have been collecting a lot more Superman here ever since the Summer of Superman earlier this year, to really kick off before the Superman movie. So outside of that and like the Death of Superman, Reign of Superman stuff from the 90s, that's really what I was into. Outside of that, I don't really know a lot of Brainiac main stories. To be fair in regards to what I would like to see them kind of adapt. John, what's up, John? Appreciate you coming in, John Stutzman. I watched Avatar: Fire and Ash last Friday for 3 hours and 17 minutes. I enjoyed this movie. Avatar fans must rewatch Avatar: Fire and Ash over and over and over and make $3 billion. We'll see, man. We'll see if this movie can crack 2 billion. And it's a very select few of movies that have ever cracked the $2 billion mark. I think if Fire and Ash can crack 2 billion, that'll be impressive. Hell, just making over $1 billion, I think, would be impressive. Maybe not to Avatar standards, but I'm glad you liked it. You're the second person of the day that said that they've really enjoyed Fire and Ash. So take that with what you will, ladies and gentlemen. The critic score for Fire and Ash is pretty good. We've got two people in here already that have said they've enjoyed Fire and Ash, even though the Rotten Tomato score, audience score, is like maybe the lowest out of all of them. literally, like, I even heard two other people that I really sort of follow for my reviews and perspectives on movies that also really liked Fire and Ash too. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to some of the honorable mentions that we focused on here today. Somehow it's just myself, and yet it's taking me 30 minutes to get through honorable mentions. Like, I feel like I still got Stuart here in spirit. It's taking me forever to get through this. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually before I got my coffee here. I have not even like sipped it once. I've been so like, you would think I had my coffee already in me with all the energy that I got going on right now. You know what I really need on this channel? A coffee sponsor. Listen, we take the K cups here. We got a Keurig machine at home. If anybody knows a coffee sponsor, I have no problem sponsoring your coffee if it's really good and it kicks me in the ass and wakes me up in the morning and gets me ready for my shows. I have 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day. So yeah, if any coffee sponsors out there, let your boy know. T-shirt sponsors, shirt sponsors. What's that? They got a really cool nerdy uh button-up shirt attire store, RVLT, RVST, or whatever they call them, with the cool comic book designs and pop culture designs on the T-shirt. I'll rock those on the show too. I'll rock those on the show too. I would love to be help contribute to you guys. I'm always looking for sponsors. So coffee and nerdy shirt attire. Business casual, button up, T-shirts, whatever. I'll do it all. Whatever you guys want. Kiki and Lucas says, hope to see Stuart soon. Thank you again for the super chat, Kiki and Lucas. I really appreciate it. Yeah, Stuart will hopefully be here next week. If he's not here next week, him and I are definitely going to be recording some shows this week. So you'll see him on the channel, just maybe in a later on released video later on this week. But guys, with that out of the way, let's get into our main topics, baby. Let's kick off this show. We got 6 topics we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be touching a little bit of everything from Avengers to Daredevil in the MCU. We're even going to go over to Netflix and talk about the upcoming animated Stranger Things series as we're barreling down towards the end of Stranger Things. We got some Mortal Kombat talk for you guys also. And we were just talking about Avatar, Fire and Ash. James Cameron's in the news this week also. Maybe not necessarily Fire and Ash related, but he's definitely in the news and certainly worth talking about. So let's go ahead and kick off this show with none other than Doomsday. That's right. Doomsday is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. It's a year away. They literally have started a countdown towards Doomsday. Although I will say in the countdown, if you guys have seen the countdown for Avengers Doomsday, there is a brief glitch in there somewhere that has the countdown say something like in 5 days. So I do expect something Avengers Doomsday related to drop. Um, is it one of these teaser trailers that they have been talking about all week long? Maybe we'll get an official release for one of them. Maybe it's something completely different. Who certainly knows? But the marketing machine for Avengers Doomsday has begun. And this is no longer a spoiler, ladies and gentlemen. This is not like, hey, we've got this piece of information. We need you to know what's going on. This has officially been released by Marvel. It has been released also in front of Avatar Fire and Ash, but there is a new Avengers Doomsday teaser out there. That's right, it has officially been released. It is out in front of Avatar Fire and Ash, and that is none other than the return of Steve Rogers. That's right. Look, I don't make this stuff up, guys. Okay, I don't make this stuff up. Steve Rogers is officially returning. That's right. I'm not giving you any information that's spoilerish or anything like that. I'm just letting you know that this information has been released. It is in fact official in front of Avatar Fire and Ash. You get to see that Steve Rogers is set to return for Doomsday. If you have not had the opportunity to check out the trailer itself just yet, maybe we will get into talking a little about it, shall we? Because this is going to have big ramifications on the MCU, certainly going forward. So let's go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, and talk about it, shall we? Let me go ahead and bring this up. This comes to us from Polygon.com. Let's get into what this now. If you don't want to know what the teaser trailer is, or if you don't want to know what the teaser trailer hints at or showcases, put your blinders on right now. Okay, put your blinders on right now. But this is out in theaters. If you guys want to check it out, I just want to talk about it for some of you guys. Okay, so let's dive into this. There's there we go. I was wondering when this is going to pop up. Polygon. Yep, Steve Rogers is back in Avengers Doomsday, and he's a baby daddy. That's right, baby. That's right. Let's talk about this. Steve Rogers is in fact back. It's been speculated and seen in leaks, but it wasn't until previews of Avengers Doomsday began showing last night during Fire and Ash screenings that it was confirmed. Chris Evans is back as Steve Rogers, and now he's a proud papa. The first teaser trailer from the upcoming film features Evans returning as Steve Rogers. Um, Variety is also reporting this as well, so it's not like it's just coming from Polygon. The teaser kicks off on a quiet farm with Steve rolling up to his house on a motorcycle as a soft piano takes on the Avengers theme. His blue helmet gives off classic Captain America vibes, and he even pulls out his old suit to look back on it for a moment. Then he's shown holding a newborn, smiling proudly. The teaser wraps with Steve Rogers will return in Avengers Doomsday, followed by a countdown clock set to hit zero exactly a year before the movie drops on December 18th. What's more is that other character-focused teasers are supposed to pop up in the upcoming weeks as well. So this is true. So um, the way that over the next several weeks that things are supposed to unfold is that you've got this trailer that just wind up dropping um, for the first week of the Avatar release, and then next week we're going to get ourselves a second one. The third week of Avatar release, we're going to get another one, and then on the fourth week as well is what they're planning. We haven't seen Steve Rogers since yada yada yada. He gets to live a full life with her, talking about Peggy Carter, even having a child apparently, before he eventually returns to the main timeline as an old man to give Wilson Captain America's shield as a passing of the torch after Steve vanished and ended up frozen in ice, having Peggy grew old but never stopped loving him. Um, Steve refused to tell Sam and Bucky what he had been up to all these years, but maybe he was hiding the secret that he's eventually going to have to come back to defeat Doctor Doom. It looks an awful lot like Tony Stark's at some point. Um, but there are other suggestions, I believe, from other websites that we will in fact get more. So let's talk about this, man. Steve Rogers returns. The last time that we saw Steve, this was the final sequence of at the end of Endgame, finally getting to live out his dream with the woman that he loved. I think a lot of us thought that this was going to be the last time that we got the opportunity to see this man on the big screen, and we would be mistaken because Steve Rogers is back and he's got a baby. I think, when I watched, because I saw the version of the trailer, when I first saw it, the one question, I think the biggest question to me was, is this even our Steve Rogers? Like, is this even our, we're in the multiverse saga at this point. Is this even our Steve Rogers that we know? Could this be a variant of Steve from another life or another Earth or whatever the case may be? I think me and Stuart might have speculated like forever ago, like if Steve Rogers was in fact to kind of come back, what would like the opening scene be, or like how would we see that happen? And it would be kind of cool, especially since the trailer does highlight the idea that he's still at that house that we saw him in at the end of Endgame. If somebody just knocks on the door and he opens it up and it's either Tony or it's somebody that he's familiar with that maybe traveled in time to get to that point to like recruit Steve for a new mission or whatever the case may be. So uh, that is the big question is first, is that our Steve Rogers? And if that is our Steve Rogers, you know, I always find it fascinating, and for some reason I always go back. I believe it was a Winter Soldier or someone I think it was Winter Soldier when when Steve goes to meet Peggy in the hospital, right? She's like on her deathbed or something like that, maybe in the hospice or something like that. And he goes and visits her, and she talks about the idea that she lived a long life, that she had kids and whatnot, right? Um, but it was never confirmed, like who the father was this entire time. So, well, the idea of now, like getting to see if this is our Steve Rogers in the trailer, seeing him be a father, it still would really connect with our original sort of MCU timeline that maybe him and Peggy did eventually kind of have kids together or whatever the case may be. And some of the family members that we see in Peggy's photo is actually, Steve's children also. I think that would be pretty interesting. If anything, I think if this is our Steve, also, I would also say this kind of undercuts um, any sort of stakes for the character, like massive plot armor here, right? Because we know that regardless of what happens in the events of Doomsday or in Secret Wars, like, well, I don't know, I think about it. I was gonna say, does this protect him? I guess it would technically have to protect him because the fact that he then shows up at the end of Endgame as an old sort of alive man. I was gonna say because of the fact that Steve Rogers is already a paradox in time, right? Like he technically doesn't necessarily belong there because if you think about the timeline aspect of things, if Steve really did go back to the early years and live his life out with Peggy, I'm pretty sure that there's another um, Captain America out there that is kind of frozen in time still that will eventually wake up and have the same adventures with Steve Rogers, with the Avengers and things like that. So, but because of the fact that he shows up at the end of Endgame, kind of gives this Steve Rogers returning for Avengers kind of some plot armor in the sense of, we know that nothing bad can really happen to it because of the fact that he does show back up at the end of Endgame. So it does kind of take some level of stakes away for the character. But I personally really like this idea. I really do. I look. I think we all knew at some point in time Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. were going to return. I just think we were trying to figure out what is the time frame in which that is certainly going to happen. Um, it is no mystery that the MCU have certainly struggled without these two characters. Now, I'm not going to say that the MCU has struggled solely because of these two characters. There's been a level of mismanagement, there's been a level of quantity over quality that has really diluted a lot of these characters. I've heard some people say, like, man, you didn't even give these characters a chance. I think that's a unfair assessment. I think they did give these characters a chance. But they were kind of piss poor chances, right? Um, and nothing I think in this time period for the multiverse has really stuck with a lot of people. And again, I'm not saying that the MCU has had crap movies since then. There's plenty of movies that I certainly enjoy, right? But like the level of enthusiasm for some of these new characters that have been introduced hasn't quite been to the level that I think that the MCU certainly, that Marvel Studios would certainly like them to be. So the idea of them bringing back Tony and Steve kind of makes a lot of sense to me. And also, look, I don't know where we go after Secret Wars, if we do a complete reboot or not. But there's nothing wrong, I think, with giving sort of the new characters that you're introduced to a little bit of a rub. You know what I mean? Like the idea of like it's kind of like in wrestling terms, in the sense that you get a veteran to come in and help put over some of the new guys, right? So, I'm sure this movie will be populated with the huge. I mean, look, we saw the huge Doomsday cast that was going to be in this particular movie. So it's hard for me to believe that the inclusion of Chris Evans is going to sort of, as Steve Rogers, is going to take away from them, as opposed to, I think, if you get the opportunity to have a scene opposite of Steve Rogers as Chris Evans, this is in turn, I think, will boost your character for the future MCU movies. So, I really have no problem. I really have no problem with this. I think this really works out well. I think if there are issues here that I think that people have a problem with, it's probably the idea of like, well, what's going to happen with Anthony Mackie as Captain America? I think Anthony Mackie as Captain America is safe, and I personally think that too, because when we do get the Avengers trailer in here, it says Steve Rogers is set to return. It doesn't say Captain America will return. It doesn't say Steve Rogers Captain America will return in Doomsday. It just says Steve Rogers. And if you know anything about Steve Rogers in the comics, he's been back several times without the Captain America moniker. I mean, he's come back. He's taken off the stars and stripes, and he's fought as a character named as Nomad before. He's even come back as Old Man Steve to be like the leader of Shield for a short period of time. Also, so Steve Rogers. And I think even in the comic books, Steve Rogers has clarified to people like verbatim, like quote, like I'm Steve Rogers, he's Captain America, pointing out to Sam Wilson being the current Captain America. And believe it or not, in the comic books right now, we've got two Captain Americas. We got Steve Rogers Captain America, we got a Sam Wilson Captain America. So two things can be true at once. These two can certainly coexist, but I can understand the idea of some people being upset with the idea that like Anthony Mackie had his time to shine as Captain America, and unfortunately for him, Marvel Studios fumbled the ball. They just did. Look, I love Anthony Mackie in Falcon and a Winter Soldier. I think that is some of his best stuff. It has solidified him for me as this generation's Captain America within the MCU. But his movie just didn't do anything for me. His movie felt like a lot of copy and paste of multiple ideas, a ton of rewrites, and not really having a solidified footing in regards to what that movie wanted to be, opposite of an Incredible Hulk movie in disguise. So, I don't think Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie, got certainly his just due. And I think the box office also kind of hints at that a little bit, along with some of the fan reception for Brave New World. But again, that's not to say that I think Steve is going to come in and immediately sort of take the mantle. Like nothing that the Russo brothers have ever done in regards to writing, especially that last scene that we see between Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers, is I think is going to make the Russo brothers sort of strip Anthony Mackie of that particular role. If anything, Anthony Mackie is literally leading a team of his own Avengers in here. My man is literally Captain America when this movie certainly begins. So I do think if we do get another Sam Wilson, Steve Rogers meeting, maybe there will be some cast member, like some characters in here that look at each other like, so who's Captain America now? And I can almost guarantee you the line from the comic book will be the line in the movie where Steve Rogers says, "I'm Steve Rogers, he's Captain America," just so people don't get it twisted. Like I can almost guarantee you that will certainly be in the movie. I think the Russo brothers are just that good when it comes to these Avenger films. So I'm here for it. Tony Stark and Captain America, as I heard somebody once say, is literally the heart and the soul of the MCU. Yes, there are a lot of moving pieces that are happening here during the multiverse saga, which again takes me back to the question: is this even our Steve? Is this even our is this a multiversal one? What if it's Tony Stark that knocks on Homeboy's door as he's holding his kid in his hand, and he opens up the door and it's Tony Stark standing in front of him. And he's like, "Hey, Tony," and it's the Doctor Doom, Tony. What if that Tony Starks as Doctor Doom winds up recruiting this Steve Rogers? Or what if he becomes like a Hydra Cap for all we know, and he's included and thrusted into this movie also, right? Like there's so many possibilities and potential that you can have with this story in regards to it being a multiversal saga story. That's why I always laugh when I see some of the overreactions and the over exaggeration of things. Like, how do we know that this is even our Steve Rogers that's going to come back and take the mantle for Anthony Mackie? Oh, you just ruined Anthony. What if that's not even the case? What if he's literally Hydra Cap and Sam is Captain America? Then we're like really like complaining and bitching about absolutely nothing, because these two can still coexist in the same movie and not take anything away from Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson. So I think from just like uh a getting butts in seats perspective, this is a great move. I think this is a great move. I know because we're on social media, we can be overly critical at times in regards to certain things, but the general audience member is just going to see Steve freaking Rogers and be like, yes, yes, my man is back. I don't know how, but my man is coming back. And I think this movie is going to do buku numbers at the box office regardless. So I do think, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the rollout is. We do have some suggestions here from what is this coming comicbookmovie.com. Yeah, comicbookmovie.com. It says Avengers Doomsday's second teaser trailer has arrived in theaters. Will it leak online before next weekend? So the first one was Chris Evans. It says the next teaser reportedly revolves around Chris Hemsworth's Thor, a character we've repeatedly heard in one of the Doomsday leads. While it's hard to take anything that leaks online at face value to AI fakes, there was a trailer earlier on this week that maybe quote unquote kind of dropped. But right now, I believe it says rumors persist that there will be a third teaser that will focus on Loki, which some people are because in the Secret Wars comic book, the Beyonder is utilized by Doctor Doom to get what he wants. I believe he's captured by Doctor Doom and imprisoned. There's suggestion here that Loki will actually take the role of the Beyonder in here. So, a first teaser trailer, Captain America or Steve Rogers. Second teaser trailer seems like it's going to be Thor focused. It says here, third teaser trailer will focus on Loki, with the fourth shifting the spotlight to Robert Downey Jr.'s Victor Von Doom. And we'll see if we get actually like an official trailer at some particular point in time. So a lot of moving pieces here. I wouldn't worry so much about this one, but I'm personally a really big fan of this. I was hoping that Chris Evans would come back. I'm excited. I'm excited to see that he's a baby daddy. Whether this is, again, even if this is our Steve Rogers, I think it certainly still works within the timeline. It doesn't cause too many problems. But I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think. I know you guys got some comments in here, so let's see what we get. John says, I saw Steve Rogers in Doomsday in front of Avatar, Fire and Ash. I was excited. He says next Avengers Doomsday on December 25th, I think is Thor. You might be right in accordance to what they are just talking about in comicbookmovie.com. I'm going to be a little bit bummed because by the time I get the opportunity to see Avatar, Fire and Ash, I will have already missed the Captain America one. Steve Rogers is coming back, according to Blossom. Yep, Steve Rogers certainly is. Um, let's see. Kiki and Lucas says the new Captain America is also undermined. I don't necessarily know if he's undermined per se, as I mentioned. Again, especially because we don't even necessarily know if this is going to be our Steve Rogers or if it's a multiverse Steve Rogers. This may be somebody that's recruited or talked to by Tony Stark, Doomsday, and be maybe a more part of Doctor Doom's storyline than actually the Avengers storyline. But who knows? Um, and even if it is our Cap, I still think uh, Chris Evans as Steve Rogers will make a definitive like, no guys, I gave Homeboy the shield for a reason. You know what I mean? This is our guy, and maybe he can help give Sam Wilson's Captain America a little bit more of a rub and more opportunity to shine. Kiki and Lucas says Downey and Evans are literally coming back to save the MCU. I mean, it looks that way. It looks that way. But I will say this again. I know people say like, "Oh, this is so desperate of the MCU," but it's like, bro, what else do you want? Like, what do you want? You know, you bring back the two biggest popular stars that everybody loves. A lot of people, granted, will have loved some aspects of the MCU. Some people certainly won't, but it's not like everything is currently universally loved. And so the MCU and the Marvel Studios have had to take a step back and figure out how can we sort of revive things a little bit, revitalize things. Let's go back to our two Hall of Famers and our two All Stars. And I've said this before. I know people say, "Oh, it's so desperate." And another sports analogy: Hail Marys in a football, half court shots in basketball. All of those are Hail Marys. And if they land, people celebrate it. The only way people will complain about it is if the call or whatever the case may be fails, right? So I say let's all give this a chance to certainly work. If the Russos are certainly back, they've given us great gold when it comes to Marvel Studios movies. Maybe they can do it again in regards to cracking a code to make a story that's really compelling to bring these back. And if it takes Downey and Evans to save the MCU, that's what I think everybody wants the MCU to save itself. I don't think people want to see the downfall of the MCU, whatever it's going to take. And if we're going to crap on the MCU, and I'm not saying this is what you're saying, Kiki and Luke, I'm just talking about like social media in general. Like if we want to see the MCU, damn, I lost my train of thought now. Um, but the point is that we have spent so much of our time um complaining about what the MCU is doing poorly, that they're not doing things right. But then when they try and do something right, then we crap on them for trying to do something right. Like we haven't just berated them and just completely shit all over the Marvel Studios. It's like, what do we want? Right? They're trying to do something that will get butts and seats, get people excited, and then yet we find people that still are gonna complain about it and say, "Oh, they're Marvel's." Like, I don't get people sometimes. Like, I just really don't. I really don't get people's mindset sometimes. This is why I say I just don't know if fans truly know what they want until they actually get it. The problem with the new characters isn't that they're not as great as the originals. In fact, I think Yelena is better than Tasha. I mean, you might be right. The problem is that Marvel Studios doesn't commit to any of them. Again, and that's what I'm talking about. It's like, whether or not it's a case of the characters just aren't that great, or you can complain that say that Marvel Studios has done a piss poor job. And I think Marvel Studios, yes, has done a piss poor job. They have done so. It's the case of introducing way too many things. Everything feels rushed. Everything feels a little bit disconnected. Nothing has ever felt as coherent as the first three sagas of the MCU, where everything felt like it was just a well-oiled machine, all moving in the same direction, sort of thing. So yes, there is fault here for Marvel Studios, but because of the fact that they have faulted themselves, take it this way, right? Marvel has faulted themselves in the sense of some characters have been received well, some characters have not, right? And then because they haven't been received well, a lot of us are then saying, well, you got to give them a chance. Maybe if you put better writers or, put them in positions to succeed, maybe they'll be better. But the problem is, you've kind of already uh, tainted, like you've already kind of tainted those characters. This is the same argument that I think people have for Ray Skywalker all the time in the Skywalker movies, right? The sense that there's a side of people that are like, oh, we don't like the Ray Skywalker character, so if you why even put a solo movie out for her? They did such a piss poor job with the character that nobody's going to want to go ahead and see the movie. You've kind of already ruined the movie. That's like saying it's the same thing with Sam Mackey now, right? Like, so they've underperformed. They've Marvel Studios has not put their best foot forward in creating these characters and putting them on a solid foothold. And now the perception of these characters is lower than what they want to be, but yet we now want them to continue to push those same characters that probably are no longer going to get people's butts in seats. Like the idea that, hey, if we give Sam Mackey another Captain America movie, I promise you, this time it's going to be better. No, that's not how that works. That's usually not how it works, right? Now you're kind of going backwards. And so and again, you can echo the same argument for Ray Skywalker. I want a Ray Skywalker movie. I think it would certainly be better, but the reality of it is, will people go out and see it? People talk about they want to go see a Ben Skywalker movie because he's been better handled instead of a Ray Skywalker movie, or the Ray Skywalker character. That people would go out to see a Ben Solo movie over a Ray Skywalker movie. I'm just talking about from a social media perspective, right? So if we've taken characters from the MCU and we've handled them piss poorly already, what is the argument then for Marvel Studios to then say, let's just keep pushing these characters out there until people are just forced to love them, right? So when people are already crapping on your product, the answer isn't, hey, we got to release more with these people in it. No, it's like, what's the alternative course here? And the alternative course is bring back Robert Downey Jr., bring back Chris Evans, because people love those characters, just like people want Ben Solo to return because people love that character. You bring them back in, you give these other characters that special rub, give them a couple scenes with these favorite Hall of Famers, and maybe you fix their reputation a little bit. And then maybe you go forward with continuing with some of these characters in the way that you originally meant to, sort of thing, right? So again, yes, Marvel Studios has done a disservice to these characters that they've wanted to unfold and unroll and roll out to us because of the quality of the quantity over quality, um, and because of that, they find themselves kind of in this position. So yeah, if Marvel didn't focus on quantity over quality, we would have gotten a Shang-Chi 2 by now. The Eternals full story would have been played out by now, or a Young Avengers movie. Um, by now. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. I wish they had focused on quality over quantity. We've been wanting a Shang-Chi 2 movie forever. This is the mishandling of Marvel Studios. If any of the new characters I thought was pretty well received, it was certainly Shang-Chi. My man deserved a sequel like 3 years ago, at least. Kiki and Lucas says, well said, the new Captain America movie wasn't very good. I mean, I didn't care for it. I really didn't. I was really upset. I have a feeling that movie was meant to be something else entirely, and the reshoots just absolutely chopped it down at its knees. Um, Rehashing things that we had already seen in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It almost felt like Falcon and the Winter Soldier probably should have been the next Captain America movie, to be fair with you. Marcel says, when people say they have that the new characters haven't been given a chance, most of them are regarding that they haven't done a full saga with zero nostalgia or haven't allowed their stories to be fully explored. I mean, look, I would agree with you too. But the first time, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. Because like so I said, Marvel Studios has done this disservice to a lot of these brand new characters that they have certainly kind of rolled out. I thought Shang-Chi was certainly going to be something different. Like Miss Marvel, I thought was relatively well received as a Disney series, and then they wind up putting her in a half-ass baked Marvel's movie. Like, you know, disservice after disservice after disservice. You get momentum, and then you hurt your product. Kiki and Lucas says, how important is it for you to have diversity in the MCU? How do you balance that against the backlash against diversity? Um, just tell good stories, you know? Um, how important is it for you to have diversity? And I mean, it's very important for me. Um, you balance that with great storytelling, is what I would say. You know, if you're Marvel Studios and you know you've got a diverse cast, your script has got to be chef's kiss. Your movie has got to work harder than other MCU movies in order to get people's butts in seats. It just does. And when you look at a movie like Marvel's, well, I enjoyed Marvel's. You can't tell me that that movie couldn't have been better. You couldn't tell me that they couldn't have done more script rewrites or really fleshed out those characters more and come up with a better story, right? Um, so then you wind up putting these three diverse actors into this movie that just ultimately flops, and then people will use the excuse of, "See, this is what happens when you have a diverse cast," right? And when that's not the case, it's the case that you didn't put your heart into it. You did quantity over quality, and you're making your diverse characters suffer for it. You know. Marcel says, do you think that once the MCU resets and they recast Steve Rogers, there will be an arc that includes both Steve and Sam co-chair Captain America, like in the comics? You know, I really don't know what's going to happen on the reset. I really don't. There's a part of me that thinks that they would just recast Steve Rogers and just start from scratch again. So Anthony Mackie's time as Captain America may be up after Secret Wars. I really don't know where they go from here, honestly. Marcel says also please don't laugh at the people who think bringing back Downey and Evans is a bad thing. In a world where nostalgia often overtakes storytelling, these people have genuine criticism. I mean, look, I get the concern. I get the concern. Okay, and I'm not laughing at people. I just think um, I'm just an optimist. That's it. That's it, Marcelino. I'm just an optimist. Like my first thought isn't negativity or that something is going to fail. My first mindset is, how do I think that this could be successful? Um, and you know, is it a little bit of nostalgia? Yeah, I think it's a little bit of nostalgia, but we don't know if that's going to overtake the storytelling or not. You know, I I don't know if I don't know if it's so much criticisms as it is concerns, right? Like criticizing is criticizing something that hasn't even necessarily happened yet, right? Like people that are criticizing it, I think, uh, are very much holding on to that. There's no possible positive scenario that this could possibly go well. Whereas I think having concerns is a little bit more fair. Um, Having unopen-ended questions because uh, the return of Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. Yes, certainly a little bit of nostalgia, but it's also from a genuine emotional connection that we have to these characters and their storylines. And if the Russo brothers are brought back because they've cracked the story that explains why they're back, how these characters work, if it's a really compelling storyline, then those concerns will certainly be washed away. Uh, the criticism I have, when people say genuine criticisms, it's like you're already kind of thinking that this movie is going to fail or that it's going to rely too much on nostalgia, and we don't know that to be the case yet. I understand being concerned about it for sure, but I just come at things sometimes from a little bit more of a um, just a little more positive outcome, but that's okay. We can't all be optimists like me, so I get it. And that's okay. Hungry. I can't see Marvel not recasting the likes of Tony, T'Challa post Secret Wars because those characters are just too popular and profitable to not do it. It would be like recasting Soups and Bat. Let me put it this way: if there was ever a time for Marvel to recast Tony and T'Challa, now would be the time because if they don't do it now, it won't happen until 20 years later. I mean, you might be you might be right because look, we still got Hugh Jackman after all these years, and they will not let this man go. And there's even talk of him like even continuing to be in the role after Secret Wars. And I'm like, no, like stop it. So like if there is a time, I would agree. If there is a time to recast any of these roles, it's definitely after Secret Wars. Um, and I have a feeling that might be the case, at least when it comes to things like Black Panther 3. The way that Ryan Coogler has been talking about things, it feels like his movie might be the first one out of the gate. And if there's any movie that could, there have been reports even in Secret Wars that there is a new T'Challa in there, maybe like the son of T'Challa kind of grown up. So there might be opportunity here for some of these characters to be recast after Secret Wars. Yeah, because either not, if not, it's going to be a Hugh Jackman situation. LJ, what's up, LJ? Do you think Robert is the final Doom? I do. Um, yeah, I do. I think it's here to stay. So yeah, I think if any, and again, to me, people talk about the idea that's nostalgia, but maybe that kind of plays a part in the story too, right? The idea that um, Tony Stark as Doctor Doom using his connection to some of these past heroes to maybe get his way, right? Um, Connecting, knocking on the door for Captain America. Imagine if that is our Steve Rogers and Tony Stark knocks on the door and he opens it up. Talk about nostalgia, right? Seeing one of your long lost friends that you had an emotional connection with, that went through battle with, that you saw die on the battlefield to be in front of you, sort of thing. Wouldn't you listen to that person? Wouldn't you give that person an opportunity to kind of speak their piece, sort of thing? Same thing with Tony Stark as Dr. Doom if he bumps into Peter Parker, the nostalgia, the memories, right? The emotional connection, sort of thing that you've had to each other. Maybe Peter gives him his ear for a little bit. Maybe there's a lot of questions that have to be asked. So maybe the idea of utilizing these characters as nostalgia isn't necessarily for just the audience. Maybe it is from a character and story driven kind of perspective also. I think that'll be an interesting way of kind of looking at it too. But I do think that he is the final Doom. Hungry says, wouldn't Black Panther 3 technically be Black Panther 1? New T'Challa with the new history. Superman 2025 is not a sequel to Man of Steel. Yeah, I guess it technically would feel that way. I mean, maybe you would feel the ramifications of what happened in Secret Wars to wrap up Black Panther 3 while also embarking on kind of a new chapter. Like, I would love to see whoever they reboot for Secret Wars, Damson Idris, I believe Marcelino mentions, as the new Black Panther. Who knows? Maybe that even introduces us to somebody like a Storm or something like that to help kick off the X-Men a little bit too. This will be the last comment, and then we'll move on because man, this one's taking up a lot of time. Hungry. Here's my prediction for the status of certain characters. Excuse me. Tom, Spidey, and Pedro F4 stays. Tony, Steve, T'Challa recast. Brand new Wolverine, X-Men, Hulk, and Thor depends. I think Thor stays. I think Chris Hemsworth as Thor stays. I wouldn't mind seeing a new Hulk, a new Wally, and new X-Men characters for sure. I could definitely see Tony Steve. I would agree with you on like 90% of these, with the exception of maybe Thor. Just because he's a god, I think he can maybe withstand and like like there are just some entities, some cosmic beings, some things that are just above um, time warps and rebirths of universes and things like that. I would love to see Chris Hemsworth continue on until he's like King Thor, sitting on the throne in Asgard sort of thing, having seen this universe kind of unfold the way that it certainly has. Like if there's anybody that has that ability to kind of survive all of this stuff, is definitely Thor to me. So I would love to see Chris Hemsworth be really like the last standing um, new person, last standing OG, if you will, as we go through this recasting and stuff, and rebranding of the Marvel Studios after Secret Wars. But we'll see. Well, look, guys, I want to know your guys' thoughts. How do you feel about the return of Steve Rogers? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section box below. What are your worries, your concerns? What are you hopeful about? Do you think that this could certainly succeed? What are some of your predictions? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section box below. All right, guys, with that out of the way, we do have other stories to talk about today. We'll see how fast we get through some of these for you guys as I take my sweat of coffee. Kiki and Lucas says, gotta run, but wishing you and your family Merry Christmas, Happy New Year with the $5 super chat. Kiki and Luca, thank you so much. Give your dogs a big hug and kiss for me. Tell them thank you for also supporting the channel. And trust me, Kiki and Luca, I really appreciate you coming through each and every week, helping out as much as you possibly can here on the channel. You've been a fantastic addition to the show. So we really appreciate you. You guys have a great Merry Christmas and New Year's. And if I don't see you guys next weekend, I'll definitely see you guys in the new year for sure. But you take care of yourself. Thank you so much. All right, guys, and with that out of the way, let's move on to our next topic. We're going to stick in the realm of the MCU, but this time we're going to go television shows here. As Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is in the news. It's already wrapped production. It's currently in post production. The season 2 is set to go ahead and release, I believe, in March of 2026. Brad Winderbaum, the president of Marvel Television and Animation, has sworn to us that when it comes to TV and animation, you can expect these shows to continue to drop on a yearly basis, like classic syndicated television, baby. Just what I love. But Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is on the way. And this week, we wind up getting our very first look at it. A little bit of a preview in regards to what we can expect from this upcoming season. And they also give us some new images to enjoy as well. So let's go ahead and check this out. This is from Entertainment Weekly. Entertainment Weekly had a huge 2026 preview for us in regards to what we can look forward to. So let's dive into this article. Jessica Jones is in fact set to return. They even dropped a brand new image of there also for you guys. Born Again Season 2, Charlie Cox previews The War of New York. This is in fact an exclusive here from them. It was only in the aftermath of the Defenders, that miniseries event on Netflix in 2017, that Charlie Cox realized how much Marvel fans were responding to the dynamic between his character and Matt Murdock and Kristen Ritter's Jessica Jones. This is what he says. He says, just by the nature of who Jessica is and who Matt is, they both give us as much as they get, is what Charlie Cox says. I'm not sure we're aware of it when we're shooting it. So we've been really waiting for this opportunity for so long now to put those two on screen together and have more fun with it. The time is now. Ritter's Jessica Jones is officially back in Mr. Murdoch's orbit, as you can see from this image above here. We had already kind of previewed a couple of we have already kind of previewed a couple behind the scenes images of these two on set. And I'm kind of really looking forward to it. Like just the private eye detective mentality of Kristen Ritter going up against a lawyer like Matt Murdock. I would agree. I think one of the dynamics about the Netflix Defenders that I did appreciate, especially when you get all these characters in a room together, the Matt Murdock and the Jessica Jones stuff is some of the best dialogue, some of the best back and forth. The chemistry is off the charts between those two from the Defenders. So the fact that they're finally coming back together again, I'm going to be fascinated with, and especially based off of the situation that they now find themselves in sort of like a lockdown NYC. How does somebody not only like Daredevil navigate through this, but what is Jessica Jones's role? I am kind of curious as to like what how her job and work has been affected by somebody like Kingpin running the city and now sort of having like martial law on the city as well. So this should be a pretty interesting dynamic between Jessica Jones and Matt Murdock once again. Um, Specifics of Ritter's role remains under wraps, but Brad Winderbaum, the head of Marvel Television, confirms it's comparable to the presence of John Bernthal's Punisher in season one. Charlie Cox adds, "We both talked about it being important to play some of the hits, as it were, make sure that we have that same dynamic, tongue in cheek, take the piss out of each other, but also get down to business and make sure that we're serving the story appropriately." So it doesn't sound like she may have a super long presence in here, but her presence will definitely be felt, it feels like, throughout this show. So maybe she's got like a 2 or 3 episode arc. Maybe she pops up in here from time to time when needed. But it sounds like it's going to be rather impactful, similar to how that was of John Bernthal's Punisher. We also got some other exclusive images here of Wilson Fisk. It says if season one chronicled Fisk's rise to power, season two becomes what it takes to maintain that power. A small amount of time has passed since the last finale, but the city remains under lockdown. Winterbaum teases a lot of heavy themes and a lot of dark moments and tragic events are on the way. Daredevil is a revolutionary in this season. He's a rebel, and it's fun to see him go up against the power of the city. That really excites me. Like to kind of see Daredevil in that rebellious role, to kind of see him as the leader of like a makeshift rebellion that he's kind of putting together, really fascinates me. I'm kind of curious as to how the people of the city react to that also, in the sense of like, are the people flying like Daredevil flags out there? Right? Like, is he really the leader of some sort of rebel and push back against the city? Or like, are there people running around New York with like Daredevil masks on, also kind of taking up the fight? I am really curious to see how that turns out. He talks about a lot of dark moments and tragic events are on the way. Look, I feel like Matt Murdock has already had so many tragic events happen to him. I'm like, what else could possibly happen? So maybe this is on Fisk's side here. Showrunner Dario Scardapin used the French Revolution as a common reference during filming, though the rebellion takes longer than the audience might expect. It feels like one misstep and loved ones disappear. You are taken. There's no way out, Charlie Cox describes, of this new reality. It's a very claustrophobic world. Um, so yeah, I mean that kind of hints at the idea that the city not only is on lockdown, but things are happening to people if you kind of speak out, which I think is uh, really prevalent just in how we view our society and world events and things like that. The idea of like speaking up against your enemies can really either get you killed or get you in bad water or disappeared, to say the least. So, um, Yeah, I think using the French Revolution as the backdrop is a great one. They also talk about the return of Karen Page, as you can see in this image of her up here, also donning that wig. She takes a more prominent part than her season one turn. It's a lot of conversations in secret hideouts and incognito disguises. In Cox's eyes, her role is the best it's ever been. She's a badass in season two. We get to see a side of Karen Page which I think Charlie and also Matt Murdock have always known is beneath that surface. Is she going to become like the new Felicity? Is she going to be like the person at the in front of the computer for for Matt Murdock? She's going to one getting all the dirty insight and the information on the people they're certainly trying to take down. Yeah, she might be the person behind the desk. Eldon Henson also returns as Foggy Nelson. Though the character remains 6 feet under, the loss continues to cast a shadow over Masked Daredevil. Um, they do talk about the Punisher. Kind of the less I say, the better is what Brad Winderbaum says. The Punisher TV special really does connect into the time and place that Daredevil Born Again season two takes place. Burntle is currently developing at work developing the one-off Punisher TV event. So I believe he's already finished filming the Punisher TV event. I will be kind of curious as to when it's released, if it's going to be released before Spider-Man Brand New Day, because John Bernthal is going to be in that also. And I'm kind of under the impression that if the Punisher TV special kind of connects and takes place during Born Again season two, I would think that you would want to release it during that time because I'm also kind of curious as to how Brand New Day for Spider-Man will handle the storyline in this series in the sense of is the city still under lockdown? Is Wilson Fisk still the mayor? Um, and when we do meet Punisher, how does the meeting of Punisher in the movie compare to not only Born Again season two, but the Punisher TV special, right? So I'm hoping canonically that a lot of this stuff is certainly released in a proper way. And then last but not least, we also have the appearance finally of Matthew Lillard's character. It says among the new players on the chessboard are Matthew Lillard and Lily Taylor. Lillard's Mr. Charles, another power player in Fisk's orbit, is a delicious part, Charlie Cox describes, though the actor admittedly doesn't share scenes with him. Taylor, meanwhile, portrays New York's Governor Marge McCaffrey. So that's a little bit of a bummer that. So this feels very much like Matthew Lillard's character is very much sort of in the line of Wilson Fisk's storyline here, whether that's for good or for bad in regards to Wilson Fisk. But it doesn't look like, according to Charlie Cox, that they don't share scenes together with him. So we're not going to have a Charlie Cox meets Matthew Lillard or Daredevil meets Matthew Lillard in season two, it sounds like. Look, I am a big fan of Matthew Lillard in the sense that I think he's a good actor. I saw him the last time I saw Matthew Lillard was in a movie I saw earlier this year called The Life of Chuck. The man was only in this movie for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and damn, was he not great in it. I mean, Matthew Lillard had a great role in The Life of Chuck. I wish it was expanded upon a little bit more than it certainly was. But so I am eager to kind of see him get involved with Wilson Fisk a little bit in here and see what he brings to the table. According to Winterbaum, it says seasons one and two are two sides of the same coin flip. The team is also well underway developing season three. It all feels like one story, he says. It's one giant, amazing tapestry that Dario is weaving together here in the New York City landscape. And that really gets me excited, man. I love the idea that they have a fully fleshed out and realized script now. Season one was a little bit of a mess at times. I still really enjoyed it, but definitely felt disjointed in certain moments in that in the season. But the fact that now, when it comes to season two and season three, that this is their own ideas. They're not having to rehash other things or rewrite other people's scripts. This is their own fleshed out original content sort of storytelling. So I do expect season two to feel more intense and same thing with season three to feel like a really complete kind of story that they certainly want to tell here. So, I was kind of under the impression that season two, for the most part, might wrap up kind of all the loose ends on here. But who knows? Maybe there's certainly some stragglers in here that allow for some of these pieces to continue for season three, and then maybe make the first three seasons of Born Again feel more like a trilogy sort of type story. I'm not quite sure, but everything that I'm hearing so far sounds really good, really, really great. The dark times for Daredevil, Karen undercover, still having that great chemistry with Jessica Jones on here, all at the same time while Wilson Fisk is locking down the city and making people disappear that he certainly doesn't like. And how Matthew Lillard fits into all this, I certainly don't know. But it should be some great performances from some great actors. So I'm really looking forward to it. But let me know your guys' thoughts on the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 preview. What are you guys looking forward to the most? I definitely want to go ahead and know. And with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our next topic because we're going to transition over to Stranger Things. Stranger Things Tales from 85, the upcoming animated series, is in the news here this week as we're getting ourselves some brand new first looks. And the showrunner is talking a little bit more about details about what this series is going to be exploring. We're fresh on the heels of the Stranger Things Netflix series coming to an end. Volume 2 actually drops here in 4 days on Christmas, and then the finale will be dropping on New Year's Eve. You can check out that finale not only on Netflix, but you can also check it out in your local theaters. See if they have any screenings left. If you want to see Stranger Things on the big screen, they will be showing the finale on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. I did go ahead and just recently drop my Volume 1 review on Stranger Things for you guys. You can check it out over on the YouTube channel if you'd like to. But I gotta say, Stranger Things, Tales from '85 intrigues me. I'm a big fan of the art style. I have had some questions in regards to, how much time has certainly passed between seasons 2 and 3. What type of stories can you certainly dive into without kind of stepping on the toes of the other stories that kind of came before? So let's go ahead and dive into this. This article also comes to us from Entertainment Weekly. Stranger Things loopholes, crack code of animated spinoff. Hawkins Lab Science meets Upside Down Matter. This is an exclusive report from them too. Um, how do you introduce new creatures without a direct portal into the Upside Down? The Duffers, the creators of this whole TV empire, were adamant about wanting a 1980s cartoon-inspired animated show set between the events of season 2 and 3, but that 1985 setting meant any new story would need to take place after 11, sealed off the gate to the world of demo things and mind flayers. Enter Eric Robles, a name from the world of kids' cartoons. He did Fanboys and Chum Chum, and Glitch Techs and the X's. He says, I dissected the show looking for any loopholes. I found a few of them. And then I found this one idea that I was just like, oh, ish. I think that's it. What is this big deal? Hawkins Lab Science meets Upside Down Matter, he teases, while noting of the closed gateway. There's a chain reaction to the creatures that are in our world and the things that are popping up, is what he says. Beyond that, the story details remain elusive. It's just too early to dig into those details without an undisclosed premiere down the road in 2026. He gives a rundown on what to expect. He says, the Duffers, who are currently rolling out the final season, oversee Tales from 1985. Though Roble serves as the principal showrunner and executive producer. So the Duffer brothers are very much still involved in this series. So even though this show has a showrunner and is being fully fleshed out and written, make no mistake that the Duffer brothers are fully aware as to what's going on. Horrors come up a lot while conversing with Robles, but he doesn't necessarily categorize the animated series as a horror show. It's got its bite to it. The stakes are real for the kids. It's not Scooby Doo, man. It's not like, oh well, it'll be fine. We don't know. We don't know if it'll be fine. So he says there certainly are some stakes here. Tales from 85 will feature a lot of freaking cool monsters. It's not just monster of the week for the sake of monster of the week. Everything is connected to a season long mystery. I love these designs here too by Lucas and Max here. So it does look like it's going to be a season long mystery. I think that's something that Stranger Things is already really well known for. Um, he says the animation house behind What If, Flying Bark Productions, is working on Stranger Things Tales from 85, but when it comes to the visuals, Robles look less to Marvel and more to the original posters of Stranger Things, the artwork from Kyle Lambert, who heavily pulled from the Spielbergian work of the late poster artist Drew Struzan. Those posters have it all. They have those brilliant colors, there's dark, there's vibrancy to it. I'm just like, that's the show. If I can bring those posters to life, I got something pretty awesome, and that's exactly what we did. As we show another exclusive image here for you guys. Um, so it says Stranger Things season 2 took place during the fall of 1984, while season 3 picked up months later in the summer of 1985. Apparently, a lot can happen between those dates. It says, if we need to keep going, we definitely can do it. He says, if we're to do the finale of like season 25, Dustin's going to camp, Elle and Mike are heavily dating. It would connect perfectly with the timeline in that sense, but allowing it to still have enough ample time to tell the stories within as many seasons as needed. Um, he says his first season progresses hours by hours, day by day. So it's not like there's huge chunks of time that are taking place, separating each episode or anything like that. It seems like it's very much contained to small periods of time. So what are we talking about? I mean, we're talking like from fall to summer. What's that like? Into like 6 months or so. So I'm sure there's probably a lot of story that you can really get into within a 6 period month of time. I think if there are two aspects that I am really looking forward to, and it's all about character connection when it comes to this show. I think for me, especially dealing with the idea of this being in 1985, the idea of where is Mike and Elle's relationship, right? Because when we come back to them in season 3, I believe this is the mall scene. You get the idea of seeing like they're heavily in a relationship to the point to where Hopper is like, 3 feet apart. Quick, keep the door open at all times, sort of thing, right? So they've really picked up their intensity of like being around each other and embracing the concept of being boyfriend and girlfriend. So I am interested to see them navigate sort of that world leading up to season 3. Same thing with Max and Lucas, who by the time we get by the time we get to season 3, if I remember correctly, I think Lucas tells Mike like we've broken up like 4 or 5 times or something like that, or he's had to apologize or try and get her back like 4 or 5 times already, right? So Max and Lucas's relationship is already kind of off and on sort of thing. So to kind of see how that relationship evolves, because to me when I watch Stranger Things show, that they're like one of my favorite um sort of my favorite couples in this show is the Max and Lucas sort of relationship, and so to kind of see how that fleshes out a little bit more will be interesting. And also Billy, I think Billy's probably going to be in this show if I'm not mistaken, because he passes, I think, at the end of season 3. So like, what has Billy been up to this entire time in regards to from those 6 months? He clearly has gotten more involved, whether that be in school or being a lifeguard at the pool and things like that. Seeing some of the glimpses of his life in season 3, some of his memories and whatnot, and the hardships that he's had. I would be interested to see how, if that's teased upon or explored a little bit more, or at least what his relationship with Max certainly might be. I think, if anything, the biggest question about is that loophole of what is the threat in here, right? After you've closed the gate in season 2, what is still remaining out there outside of the mind flayer that is worrisome or troublesome for these kids to have to certainly solve. So I do think that there is definitely a story here. It'll be interesting to see once it's executed on Netflix, if it was warranted or not. But the fact that the Duffer Brothers had sort of this idea in mind of we want an animated show, particularly during this time period, I think even they um, knew that a lot could have certainly have happened within this particular time, and with them overseeing the show too, I think there is certainly a reason for this show to happen, probably around the time that it is in fact happening right now. So, yeah, we'll see how this turns out, but I am very much looking forward to seeing what this animated series is really going to be all about. But let me know your thoughts, guys, and if you have any anticipation level towards it as well. Um, and with that out of the way, let's move on to our next topic here. As we've got what's next up? Oh, we got some Mortal Kombat talk, guys. We were expected to have a Mortal Kombat movie this year. Mortal Kombat 2 was supposed to drop, I think, like October or November of this year. But after the very well received trailers for Mortal Kombat 2, the studio decided, you know what? Let's make this a summer blockbuster movie. I think they might have seen how another movie maybe was handled as well during the summertime and how much money it made. And maybe they thought they could jump on the bandwagon of summer blockbuster movies. So they have, in fact, pushed this to summer of 2026. But this week, Entertainment Weekly, again, looking towards the future in 2026, did have a little bit of a preview for Mortal Kombat's number two. And they also dropped not only brand new exclusive looks and images, but they also went ahead and did an interview with Karl Urban that really talks about his casting process for Johnny Cage. So let's go ahead and dive into this one, shall we? Karl Urban calls Mortal Kombat 2 Johnny Cage the most challenging role of his career. Let me go on and pull up this exclusive image that you guys see there too. This is Karl Urban as Johnny Cage, Hiroyuki Sanada as Scorpion in the middle, and Josh Lawson as Kano to the very far right. Um, he does talk a little bit about Karl Urban does talk about his role as Billy the Butcher in the previous season of The Boys, and he jokingly calls it his General Hospital season. He says, really didn't have much action that season. I had fuel in the tank. I just wasn't satiated. So he called his agent to see if there was any potential action roles on the horizon. He says it was about a week later they sent me the Mortal Kombat script. Now Urban is making his debut in the sequel as the fan favorite character. He says, I asked for a heavy action content movie, and for my sins, they gave me one. Urban continues. He says, it was the most challenging role that I ever undertaken in my career. It's the martial arts. The form and the style of martial arts is so specific, and the choreography at times is so definitive in its movement, and there's precision of execution for it to look good. It was a huge challenge. I find that really interesting. I'm not sure exactly how old Karl Urban is right now, um, but I don't necessarily know if he's got himself a martial arts background. So the fact that this man literally comes into this role cold as can be, old as can be, having to have to take up this action role, like some of the shots that I see of him in the trailer, I'm thinking like, what is Karl Urban and what is like stunt double work, right? If he's doing a backflip, if he's doing like twists in the air, like, is that you, Karl? Is that you, Karl Urban? Um, but it is interesting for him, like out of all the roles that he's had so far in his career, for him to talk about the idea that at this stage in his career, this one being the most challenging role that he's ever undertaken in his career, I think is pretty eye opening here. Mortal Kombat presents Cage as a washed-up Hollywood actor, a former karate student as a kid. He grew up to be a big shot in the Sylvester Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme action movies, but now he's working the dried-up band convention circuit. Man, ain't that the truth for some people. Urban praises the team's stuntmen, choreographers, and trainers who got him battle ready for such roles. As part of my research, I went to karate tournaments and looked at the younger generation of martial artists coming through to see what it was like growing up in that environment, as I imagine Johnny Cage had done when he was a kid. Carl Urban putting in that work, man. I always appreciate an actor that goes above and beyond to like who would think to go and talk to young generational martial artists and pick their brains in regards to what it's like to kind of grow up in that world and then translate that into something for your own, to really build upon your character. I think that's pretty badass if you ask me. Um, One of the particular battles that plays out is Johnny and Katana, the metal fan wielding princess. Teased in the previous show of the movie, the two characters have strikingly different fighting styles and both take up substantial real estate in the story. Interesting. So it sounds like Katana's going to have a pretty significant story in here. He's so rusty, Urban comments. He's neglected his martial arts. He has no connectivity to what he's supposed to be doing, and he's sloppy. I guess this kind of really works then, I think, for Karl Urban. Because while, yes, he has to train in martial arts and be precise and definitive with his movements, the fact that he even calls Johnny at this stage in his career rusty, right? It's not like he has kept up with his martial arts. He has no connectivity to what he's supposed to be doing, and he's sloppy. I would think as somebody like Karl Urban, who maybe doesn't have a background in martial arts, to kind of come in and do this kind of training, that might be exactly like the type of style that Karl Urban can really portray on screen. Somebody without that expertise, without that disconnect, with that disconnection. So if it looks a little bit sloppy or maybe not as like striking when it needs to certainly hit, that might fit like Karl Urban perfectly in that regard. So it probably works to his benefit. It makes some for more inherent physical comedy amid such a high stakes moment. Urban likes it to Jackie Chan style of combat, the way that the Rush Hour um, precise martial arts moves are paired with hijinks. We knew that was Johnny's first fight. It's his first understanding of what's going on now with him. He's being dragged into this, so it was very important getting the balance right about how Johnny handles it, and then how in control Katana was. Johnny couldn't be totally hopeless, but we needed to look like he wasn't match fit. That's definitely gonna be a fight to keep our eyes out for. This Katana and Johnny Cage fight, especially if it's the case of Katana's on point, and this is Johnny's first fight, sort of out of the gates. You can expect Johnny to realize just the stakes and how like on point he needs to be if he has plans on surviving this mess, sort of thing. And Carl Urban does have that ability with his great sense of humor and just like his timing also. I love the fact that he compares it a little bit to Jackie Chan, because Jackie Chan does have hijinks. It's the facial expressions of almost being missed by something or even being kicked at times, the facial expressions that he gives that kind of makes you chuckle. How he maybe trips over something or an object or uses some of the objects within his battles to kind of avoid things. I can easily see that being a type of style that Johnny picks up, especially if it's one where he's rusty and he's being kind of sloppy. I will say to have to go up against somebody like Katana as your first battle out is some pretty crappy luck for him. But we also got this fantastic image as well. Martin Ford as Shao Kahn on the left, and Ludi Lin returning. My boy Ludi Lin from Power Rangers, reprising his role as Liu Kang for Mortal Kombat 2. This is such a badass photo, man. I'm really eager for this movie. I think we're at a time and place right now, whether it be Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, where the script to me, well, that's not true because I think the first Mortal Kombat that they had just recently came out with, I probably would have really liked the script to be a little bit better. The action piece is cool, but I really would have loved to have had the script a little bit better. I have a feeling that when it comes to Mortal Kombat 2, though, um, because they got Carl Urban, I think they're going to put more budget behind this movie. I think the script itself is naturally going to be a little bit better. Also, I think they may have new writers. I could be wrong. Um, but maybe if it is the first group of writers, now they have more experience under their belt. They've been able to take some of the creative criticisms. So there is a part of me that's kind of hoping that when it comes to Mortal Kombat 2, the writing is a script. I'm not saying this is going to be award winning, but I am hoping that the script for Mortal Kombat 2 is just a little bit more appealing to really help carry these characters. And I think if you have somebody like Carl Urban, who's just a really talented guy, if he saw something in the Johnny Cage role that he thinks he can help heighten the script a little bit and heighten these moments of the movie, I think he can really do wonders by it. So I think the addition of, I know some people probably had their own ideas to who they personally would have loved to have seen cast as Johnny Cage in this movie. But I also do think Carl Urban brings a veteran kind of experience, somebody that can take maybe a mediocre script and help elevate it, just make it a little bit more digestible. And if you're talking about a washed up actor who is going to these dried up convention circuits or hasn't really tapped into his martial arts, to be able to get somebody like Carl Urban who really doesn't have a connection to martial arts, at least not that I'm aware of, but still had to go through some really physical training to get ready for this part. I think he could portray Johnny Cage just perfectly. So I am eager to kind of see what this is going to turn out to be. I expect bigger things from this one than I did um, the first Mortal Kombat movie. Carl Urban's 53. Yeah, dude, 53. Uh, I wouldn't have cast Carl Urban as Johnny Cage because Johnny is supposed to be in his late 20s or early 30s. And I feel like casting someone in his 50s, we miss out on a lot of great development that leads him into being a well-rounded adult in his 50s. I mean, I still think that there's a space for Johnny to be developed. It sounds like he grew up in that time period where he was part of the Stallones and the John Claude Van Dammes and the star kind of in his own B-list movies. So we are getting a more seasoned veteran Johnny Cage in here. And if anything, I do think the idea of it's not like we stop learning or stop developing as human beings even into our 50s, right? Like we don't have it kind of all planned out. And so I get the idea that yeah, maybe there's some really great development of seeing him young and brash and things like that in his 20s and thinking like he's on top of the world, right? When he's like at his prime. But I do think that there is something just as equally as interesting to see a man who's late in his career that is then being thrusted into a game or a tournament that he probably himself wishes, damn, I wish I was in my prime when I entered this, and I'm not just finding out about it now, right? So I still think that even in his 50s, there's still a lot of sort of great development and puts him sort of as at a disadvantage more so than if he was introduced to us in his 20s and 30s. So yeah, definitely an interesting take. I got no problem with people wishing that he was cast at a younger age. But I still think when you get a talent like Carl Urban, and you switch up the character to the point of maybe not necessarily being at an advantage in the story, I'm sure there's a lot that Johnny Cage probably still has to learn to find out about himself as well, that you can really kind of focus on. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out, though. I guess once we see the movie, we'll find out if it was a good decision or a bad decision. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in regards to learning just a little bit more about Carl Urban's role as Johnny Cage. Um, Panxies, I know this is off topic, but I noticed that Sagat is not in the Street Fighter movie that's coming out. It's like when Johnny Cage was not in the first MK movie. Johnny Cage wasn't in the first movie? I thought he was. Wasn't he opposite Liu Kang? Or was that the second one that I'm thinking of? You're gonna have me Google this. Yeah, Johnny Cage was in the first Mortal Kombat movie. I remember him being opposite Sonya Blade and Liu Kang in there. I don't remember him being in the second. I don't remember if he was in the second one or not, though. Can't remember. Yeah, when I look it up, it says yes, Johnny Cage was a main character in the first Mortal Kombat movie in 1995, portrayed by Lyndon Ashby. He joined Liu Kang and Sonya Blade in the tournament, fighting to save Earthrealm. Or maybe you're talking about maybe like the video game. If you're talking about the video game, maybe he wasn't in the first one. I'm not sure, but he was in the first Mortal Kombat movie. Johnny Cage was. But yeah, Sagat, I don't believe is in the Street Fighter movie. So yeah, maybe if they get another sequel, they'll bring. Um, oh, you mean the one that just recently came out? I get what you're saying. I thought you meant like the original Mortal Kombat movie, but you mean the most recent Mortal Kombat movie? Yes, I gotcha. Yeah, I was thinking because I'm an old head, man. I was thinking about the 1995 movie, but I get what you mean. All right. Um, yes, I get it now. Yes, I'm on the same page. Thank you, Marcelina. I get it. All right, guys, with that out of the way, let's move on to our next topic here. As I know one of your favorite topics, guys, to talk about is Disney live action movies. That's right. Although this one this week is not necessarily a reboot, but we are getting to revisit a classic Disney character in Gaston, as it looks as though Disney is set to develop a Gaston live action movie. Now, we have seen Gaston in live action before. I believe it Luke Evans that played him in the Beauty and the Beast movie. But this time it looks like they're really ready to go ahead and start developing a live action film surrounding Gaston. This actually report comes to us from Deadline.com. Let me go ahead and pull this up here for you guys. There we go. It says Disney developing live action Gaston movie from writer Dave Callahan and producer Michelle Rejwan. Disney looks to be taking another one of its iconic villains and giving it the live action spin, as sources tell Deadline. The studio's in early development. David Callahan is writing the script. No director is attached at the time. Kate Herron and Brianni Redmond penned a previous draft. So it is in early development, according to them. So I think we're still at the point to where this could or could not happen, as it looks like they're only at the script writing phase. This looks like this has been rewritten a couple times already, but now they have Dave Callahan coming in to write the script. Gaston first appeared in Disney's original 1992 animated classic as an arrogant and ruthless hunter who had unrequited feelings for the main protagonist, the Beauty Belle, and ultimately becomes the main adversary of the Beast. He did go on to do the live action film in 2017 with Luke Evans playing Gaston. Where's my Luke Evans pick? I know I got one of him. And following its billion-dollar success, there was a discussion of a TV series centered on the character with Evans reprising a role, but that project was scrapped. While the plot details are vague for this version, sources say it will be a new and original version with a new actor, and the film will have swashbuckling tones to it. Insiders say that the studio is high on the idea. Dave Callahan is no stranger to developing tentpole projects. Um, his past credits include Godzilla vs. Kong, The Expendables, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and Across the Spider-Verse. The idea of a Gaston sort of, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not mad at this. I'm really not mad at this. Um, I kind of dig the idea more of a TV series compared to a film. But you never know. Maybe you can strike gold with the Gaston. I think Gaston has such like charisma and comedy chops about him. The arrogantness about him, I think, is what's like would really make me laugh. I do think that there could be some really great themes in here. You say swashbuckling, sort of like themes or adventure like pirates and whatnot or sailing the seas and whatnot this was a part of me that like I'm automatically in. And I think if you've got um a great lead like Gaston along with who's the guy that always follows him around. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I think that they would make really like a really great chemistry duo in a film together. I have no idea what the story or the idea behind this would certainly be, but I'm really not mad at this. And I say that because, Beauty and the Beast, I think, was one of the live action remakes or movies that was really well received. Luke Evans as Gaston, I think, was great. People love the Gaston character in the animated series as well. Um, the first Maleficent movie, I think for some people was okay. You did just have what was the 101 Dalmatians one with Emma Stone. That as a villain sort of centric movie, really well received too. So I think there's a potential here for a Gaston villain centric swashbuckling adventure with his type of like over the top charisma and his cockiness and attitude at times and maybe temper at times. I think could lead to some really great moments when it comes to a live action movie. So I'm actually not opposed to this. This doesn't feel like, oh, we're doing another reboot or we're revisiting it. Like I don't even necessarily know if Belle would even be involved or this is really going to be just a Gaston centric movie. But the idea of taking a fan favorite character like that and having a good script, I mean, whether or not people are going to come out and see it, that I definitely don't know. But I think the character is a good character that Disney has under its belt that they can utilize to do something kind of fun with. So I'm not going to be mad at this one. I'm actually kind of eager to see what they do if it actually ever comes to realization. Again, it's very much in early development, and the idea that they have already been trying to rewrite the script a couple times. We'll see if they actually strike gold here or not. But yeah. Yeah, Marceline says people are laughing at the Gaston movie, but at least it's trying something new than being a regular live action remake. Right. Like it's not like it's a remake or a reboot of something that we've seen before. Like they are taking a compelling character that I do think people have enjoyed like as a character. And you put look again, you put swashbuckling, like the idea traveling along with Gaston. Like you can't tell me there's not like comedy gold or some level of humor in there or embarrassment upon Gaston as a person. Like it sounds like it would be kind of fun and something I would actually give a try for. Gaston, no, that dude is a genius. I agree with how kind of funny he is, but I hated how he treated Belle growing up. I mean, definitely. I mean, and I have a feeling that that would get highlighted in some way to kind of show, like, just to remind us that yes, he's funny and yes, he's an arrogant POS, but this is like the reality of who he is. But I still think you could probably have fun with the character as well at the same time. So, as long as like those aspects of who he is and how he treated Belle isn't like um highlighted in the sense of like in a good way, not trying to get the wrong message out there sort of mentality. Um but um but yeah, I think you might have something here. I think it can kind of be kind of fun. But let me know what you guys think. And then last but not least, our last story of the day before we get into our live viewer questions. James Cameron is in the news, and my man is busy as can be. He's got Avatar Fire and Ash that's dropping this week for you, or already dropped on the 19th. Go see it in theaters if you haven't done so yet. Um, I'm one of those people that I'm like, look, I know I'm gonna like Fire and Ash, but I also know that this man has mentioned the idea of working on things like an Avatar 4 and an Avatar 5. Like I know that there is more stories in that world to kind of explore. And if I gotta wait another 10, 15 years for the next one to drop, I'm gonna be pretty pissed. But it seems as though, despite James Cameron, he's spent a lot of his years, maybe the last 20 years, it feels like, 10, 15, however long it's been since the original Avatar movie, to flesh out these sequels. And Avatar has been his life for a really long period of time, and he hasn't really given much focus to anything else besides producing a Terminator movie, and then also producing what, Alita Battle Angel. But as far as actually creating something else outside of Avatar, it's been kind of non-existent. But it seems as though James Cameron is ready to kind of take a breather from Avatar. And the next thing that he wants to tackle, Terminator, baby. He wants to return to the franchise. James Cameron seems as passionate as he's ever been about returning to this franchise. And according to new reports, he's got something brewing. This comes to us from comingsoon.net that says we have ourselves a brand new Terminator movie update for you guys. Let's go ahead and pull this up here. It gets exciting update. Arnold Schwarzenegger's status also revealed. Um, in a Hollywood Reporter interview, the Oscar winner shared details about quietly revisiting the Terminator franchise. Once the dust clears on Avatar in a couple months, I'm going to really plunge into that Terminator. There's a lot of narrative problems to solve. The biggest is, how do I stay ahead of what's really happening to make it science fiction? Cameron was remained coy about the new Terminator movie's premise. One thing he did make clear is that it will not include Arnold Schwarzenegger. He says, I can safely say he won't be in it. It's time for a new generation of characters. I insisted Arnold had to be involved in Dark Fate, and it was a great finish to him playing the T-800. There needs to be a broader interpretation of Terminator and the idea of a time war and super intelligence. I want to do new stuff that people aren't imagining. And if there's anybody I think that is really good at doing new stuff that people aren't imagining, it's definitely James Cameron. Um, his ability, especially from just like a technology perspective, and how much he's really pushed the envelope when it comes to the Avatar movies, um, creating brand vast new worlds, creating new cultures and stuff, and you know, making that world of Avatar just something that you can kind of easily get lost in, and again, pushing the envelope of technology. James Cameron, you may not necessarily agree with everything that he has to say, but he seems to be like one of those people that have a really brilliant mind, in the sense that, the way that he thinks about the world is certainly a unique one. And if there's anybody that can push a level of storytelling beyond what we're ready for, I mean, who would have known when he came out with a Terminator, or even T2, that some of the things from a sci-fi perspective that he was talking about when it comes to AI intelligence, that we literally would be here in 2025, talking about AI and the worries that, we as a society have in regards to AI, what it's taking over, the job losses, that it's doing, right? Taking over jobs that we used to do, um, undercutting us in certain ways, and we're not even talking. I hear little stories on the news about like AI breaking up families because the man or the woman is like heavily invested in like a an AI relationship with a bot. I see I see AI karate robots out there out in Japan. I see like live streamers like Kai and I believe Kai has like has like a robot, like an AI robot at his house, sort of thing, walking around and doing shit for him, sort of thing. I've seen robots on display as like backup dancers. Like the push of AI technology and robotics and things like that have taken leaps and bounds since somebody like James Cameron has established the idea of AI taking over this world in his Terminator movies. And the fact that he has had this ability to potentially like call his shot on where AI might take us. I literally read a story once of a military AI thing that they programmed their AI, and but look, whether or not this is true or not, I swore I thought I read this in like two, three articles, but somebody please fact check me. But I thought it was like this they put this AI in this drone and put it in a situation where it had to like save itself or whatever the case may be. Um, and the AI like killed the operator or some shit like that. Like, I mean, we're in a time and place where the people that are in charge of AI are trying to eliminate sort of any safeguards around it, whether that be the Sora company trying to remove the watermarks on their AI generated videos, so you don't have a watermark. So you can't tell what the hell is real and what's not anymore. The leaps and bound of how AI has become so much better in just a matter of 1 or 2 or 3 years is impeccable. Where sometimes these videos are so hard to kind of determine, right? Um, Being able to use AI to not only have humanity question the reality and what they're watching, but then also giving things certain levels of intelligence that at some point in time, yes, right now, that they seemingly are here to help us and ask questions and help us navigate through tough situations in life. But if we're talking from like a military perspective, what's to say that at some point in time, these lack of handlebars and restrictions, because we're in this mindset of being so competitive with other countries to be the first in AI and these big AI advancements, that we get so busy in trying to win that we forget how to protect. And at some point in time, these AI just kind of getting really out of control. So the idea that James Cameron kind of tapped into something that we now look back and look at Terminator 2 like, damn, like that might be just a matter of time. And now to hear James Cameron talk about like, I've already told the story about where we could be going, but like, where could AI be in like 30 years from now? Like, what does AI and its involvement and robotics in this world look like? So when he mentions things like Uh, the biggest is, how do I stay ahead of what's really happening to make it science fiction? The idea of a time war and super intelligence. Is there going to be more? Um, is there going to be more time travel involved? What is the idea of super intelligence if it isn't where we're currently at, sort of right now? I think these are all really valuable questions to ask. And if James Cameron seems like he's maybe, I don't want to say he's cracked the story yet, but the fact that James Cameron is thinking this forward thinking, I'm like, why is James Cameron the one doing the forward thinking for a movie where we literally should have these AI people that are developing this stuff do the same level of forward thinking so that we can avoid ever getting to another James Cameron movie. Like, can we not make a James Cameron movie actually become reality at some point in time? Like, we should be forward thinking like that. But James Cameron is going to be taking up doing the heavy lifting here and trying to figure out where this is going to be. So there's something really fascinating here. If he can stay tuned with the sci-fi elements, maybe it might sound outlandish and over the top and out of this world and something that'll never happen. But again, I think maybe when we were in Terminator 2, we just thought to ourselves, there's no way we would ever get to that point either. But here we are. No killer robots walking the street yet, yet. Um, a hyper, a super intelligence in the sense of like surveilling you, being able to decipher your face if you get caught on the camera sort of thing and find like where you live. Like just look up like I think it's called hold on a second. Yeah, ICE to use immigration's OS by Planeteer. Look up the Planeteer. Uh, Palantir. Look up Palantir. If you want to see how AI AI system is used, please check out Palantir. 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 Check out what Palantir is doing as an AI system, and you tell me that this is some scary shit in the world that we kind of live in. So I hope James Cameron cracks the code on Terminator. It looks like the days of what we knew as a Terminator is going to be done and over with. And the next Terminator movie sounds like it will feel significantly different. So we'll see how James Cameron envisions the future in the sci-fi element for us in maybe like another 30 years or something like that. But you tell me, James Cameron, Terminator, I'm there regardless, man. I'm there regardless. Marceline says many people have given up on the Terminator franchise. I mean, like I get it. I get it. But I think this should be a level of excitement that people have for James Cameron wanting to push the idea. And again, this is nothing against you, Marcelino, but there's got to be some level of optimism in this world, man. Like, there's got to be some sense of like franchises can recover, you know? I'm sure there was a time period where people have given up on Alien and people have given up on Predator, and look what they've been able to do in the past like 2-3 years for both of those franchises: Romulus, Alien Earth, Prey, Predator Badlands, Killer of Killers. Like, some of this is like the best of these franchises have had to offer. And if people like continued with that mindset of just giving up on franchises, we wouldn't have any of this stuff out there in the world. So I just think that there are sometimes people. Yes, I understand that many people have given up on the Terminator franchise, rightfully so. But when James Cameron comes on board and he says, "You know what? I'm done with the T800s. It's time to take the Terminator franchise to new reaches and trying to get ahead of what the AI technology is," those that feel that they've given up the Terminator franchise should be like, okay, James Cameron, let's do this, because the Terminator franchise is a great one. At least it's got some really great like foundational pieces to it. People should be getting hyped for the idea of like, all right, the man is back to go ahead and take on Terminator again. If there's anybody that can save it, it's James Cameron with that mind of his. So I'm hoping that the people feel like that they've given up on Terminator can look at things like Alien Romulus, can look at things like Prey and Predator Badlands and say, you know what? There is hope for my franchise. And now that James Cameron is back, hopefully he can shine a light back on this franchise one more time. Like, again, maybe that's just the positive of my um the positivity that I try and strive to look towards. But we just can't be Debbie Downers all the time. We got to have some faith that the franchises that we love will make a rebound, because we've seen it happen before. We've seen it happen before. So James Cameron, don't fail me, brother. Don't fail me after that speech. We need some good things from Terminator right now. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts. So even if you are tired of the Terminator franchise or have given up, is the idea of James Cameron and what he's saying here in regards to super intelligence, a time war, pushing forward with trying to see where AI may take us in the future and get ahead of things to make it sci-fi. Does that kind of, the basis premise of it, does that kind of get you excited for something new? I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts. All right, guys. And with that out of the way, that will wrap up all of our main topics today. So I think you know what time it is.
And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And we're going to get into our live viewer questions portion of the show. For those of you who don't know, if you ever want to submit a live viewer question over, you certainly can at any time. Every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, I will go ahead and make a live viewer question post. What you'll do is you're going to go over to our YouTube channel, as you see right here. You're going to click on this post tab every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, and voila, live viewer questions. We got 12 questions today. Let's see how fast we can try and get through some of these here today, though. It is just yours truly here. Let's see here. I think I sorted them out. I have another. Okay. All right, Jessica Friedman. With the success of X-Men 97, do you think we can get a 90s Spider-Man reboot? And do you think the new season of My Adventures of Superman, we will finally get to see Superman and Batman meet for the first time and meet Green Lanterns? Maybe the Green Lantern aspect of things, just because they do plan on releasing a My Adventures with Green Lantern, which I think is going to be a Jessica Cruz centric Green Lanterns animated series. So I think there's probably I haven't watched My Adventures with Superman, so I don't know if there's ever been any hints or name drops of Gotham City or Batman or anything like that. But I have a feeling there's probably more a more percentage chance that we meet a Green Lantern in the next season of Adventures of Superman than we do a Batman as of right now. I do think maybe a Batman will come, but I think in the sense to at least bring awareness to the Green Lantern's animated series, I think it would be smart to have Green Lantern in pop up in the Adventures of Superman. As far as the success of 1987, I don't think we're going to get a 90s Spider-Man reboot, at least not anytime soon. And I only say that because we currently have Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man out. Season 2 was set to go ahead and drop next year also. I don't know the chances of carrying two Spider-Man animated series at one time. So maybe after Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and after X-Men 97 wraps, maybe we get a 90s Spider-Man reboot, but as of right now, I don't see it. Marcelino. Um, Recently, I read the original 90s Static run by Milestone, and I gotta say, it was okay. I don't think it was bad, but the episodic nature threw me off, and there's really no overarching story. It's just Static going on random self-contained adventures. Also, I felt his supporting casts were underutilized. Virgil's friend backstabs him and takes the girl he had a crush on after she rejects him, knowing he liked her, and Richie feels like a token gay guy. I hate to say it because I respect Dwayne McDuffie, but whenever Richie's in the scene, he always being bashed for his sexuality. Um, he in the scene, he's always being bashed for his sexuality in front of Virgil, who does nothing to defend him. Another problem I have is more on the audience. Whenever people talk about Static, they're talking about the Static Shock cartoon. Yes, that is true. Whenever I ask comic readers what their thoughts on this comics, all they say is Static was made because many black writers felt like there was an underrepresentation of black superheroes, but they never talk about any of the comic stories, his supporting cast, his villains, his growth as a character. They only talk about the cartoon. And the cartoon is great, but it's important to remember that Static is a comic character, not a cartoon. It's It's to the point where people refer to the character as Static Shock when his name is Static, even if the show makes that clear. Yeah, I was just about to say that. As I was reading it, I says, I don't know if Static was a popular comic book at the time. I think if anything, once he became a cartoon character, I think is when he definitely wind up getting a lot of his fame and really growing as a character. When Milestone came out, I think I maybe only had the first issues of a lot of those introducing characters, but I don't think I read Milestone on a regular basis. Uh, yeah, I don't believe I read Milestone on a regular basis. Most of the stuff, if I had seen anything, was mostly the Static Shock cartoon. But those are vastly, I feel like, different from the comic book run itself. So I'm glad you decided to give it a run. Is it on DC Infinity? Like, did you find those issues? Was it, or is it DC Unlimited? Is there like a DC app where you can read the stories? Let me know where you read the '90s Static run. The '90s were just built different also, you know. That's not to excuse, the Virgil's friend backstabbing him or um always being bashed for his sexuality. People definitely viewed that stuff way differently in the '90s than they are now. So you kind of make me want to go back and reread them, Marcelina, or to read them for myself, Marcelina. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Because yeah, I was gonna say I think one of the things about Static Shock is most people just know him from the cartoon. They probably have never really picked up a Static run from Milestone before. Quentin Tarantino once said he almost directed a Star Trek film, and got me wondering how would that affect his fictional universe going forward. To remind you, all of Tarantino's films exist in two interconnected universes: the realer than real universe and the movie universe, where characters from Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction watch movies like Kill Bill and From Dusk Till Dawn. This has allowed for crossovers to take place, ranging from financial brands like Red Apple cigarettes, or characters directly mentioning other characters from different movies, such as Michael Madsen character Vic Vega from uh, Reservoir Dogs, would share the same surname as John Travolta's character, Vincent Vega. Tarantino would later confirm the two are brothers and were even interested in doing a crossover film about the two. Back to the topic, if Tarantino did direct the Star Trek movie, how would it fit within his universe? How would that affect Star Trek's universe going forward? Would the Star Trek franchise treat a Tarantino movie as its own thing, not make any connections, period? Star Trek is a franchise, and Quentin Tarantino doesn't work on a franchise particularly. He was interested in doing the Zorro movie, but Zorro is in the public domain, so anyone really can use him if they wanted to. First of all, I didn't know about the two sort of interconnected universes. I never picked up on a lot of those connective tissues there, or any of the what Tarantino confirmed, especially the idea of that those two being brothers. But I think when I envision a Tarantino movie, would the franchise treat the Tarantino movie as its own thing, not to make any connections? Period. I think it probably would. I don't know how far along the script for the Star Trek movie went along. So I am kind of curious if it would have been all new characters, and be like its own standalone movie. If it was its own standalone movie, I think the chances then of it having a connective tissue to past Tarantino films would probably be a thing. And I say that like it would be like to me it would be fascinating if he made a Tarantino Star Trek film that was all its own thing, and one of the crew members had the same last name as one of his other previous characters. He's just like a descendant of a descendant of a descendant, and he's like, um, whether they were a former movie star, or they were a former gang member, or private detective, or like whatever the case may be. It would be pretty cool if like there was somebody on board his starship that generations before was like one of his previous characters. I think that would be pretty cool. Like what if one of those characters was like a descendant of the bride from Kill Bill, right? Like the bride wind up having a daughter who we never got the opportunity to no, not the daughter, what's his face, Vanessa Fox's daughter, right? We never saw her have a kid. Was what was Vanessa characters, the Black Mamba? Was that Vanessa Fox's character? I think it was the Black Mamba. What if she her daughter winds up surviving that? But we never know exactly whatever happened to the daughter in Kill Bill. A lot of us wanted to see Kill Bill 3, like her getting her revenge on Uma Thurman's the bride. But we never get to see that. So what if like her daughter is like a descendant of somebody that eventually gets onto the starship and is referenced in the movie? That would have been pretty trippy if you ask me. But I don't know if it would have been its own thing or if Tarantino would have actually have used his um his own characters or some of the people from the crew that we know today. But that's an interesting question. Whatever happened to Datila? I don't see her in the live chat anymore. And I thought when she joined Hero Report, she would become a new host and would fill in for Stuart if he was unavailable. She's just gotten so busy, man. Her life has really changed for her, I would say, within the past year or so for the better. She's just got a lot of great things happening for her. She's still doing her. I think she's really been focusing a lot more on her wrestling and stuff. We've kind of fallen off of the wrestling thing on the channel here just because WWE and ESPN has just made it so hard to kind of keep up, at least for me, when it comes to a lot of their PLEs and stuff, having to have a subscription to ESPN. Like I have a subscription to ESPN, but apparently I'm not paying enough for it, I guess, in order to get the PLEs, or maybe I gotta pay extra for the PLEs. I'm not sure. I just feel like they've made it harder for me to watch, so I haven't really had the motivation to talk a lot of wrestling on here. I know Josh wound up moving. He wound up getting a new house and stuff, so his life has been kind of crazy, a new job too. But Dr. just has had a lot of stuff kind of going on for her, but she's still doing her wrestling thing and focusing a little bit more on her life right now. But we still talk periodically and check up on each other. Vanessa was Copperhead. Thank you, thank you. So yeah, Copperhead's daughter, I think should have been connected to Tarantino's Starship generationally. Would have been pretty dope. Let's see here. Blossom, since Christmas is heading its way, I thought I'd ask what Christmas movies do you like? Man, you know what? A Christmas movie that's actually kind of grown on me the past couple of years. Was it Christmas with the Cranks? I believe. Um, yeah, Christmas with the Cranks has actually grown on me, and man, I guess it's a lot of Tim Allen movies. The past couple years because even the Santa Claus has kind of grown on me. Those are like two movies that I didn't really watch a lot growing up as a kid. Elf is like constant. I do love Jingle All the Way. The Home Alone movies are constantly on. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the cartoon and the live action is always a big one for me. Um, but the Santa Claus is one that I maybe saw once as a kid and never really revisited until the past like 3, 4 years. And Christmas with the Cranks is another one. I don't know why like the Tim Allen movies just hit me, or they were just like all on a streaming service one year, and we just started going down the list. But Christmas with the Cranks and the Santa Claus have definitely been added to the list for me. Also, a Christmas Story is another one of my favorite ones with the kid that wanted the Red Rifle BB gun. Just shoot your eye out, kid. That's always a classic for me. A little old school for sure. I don't watch it as much, but I love it when I do watch it. It's a Wonderful Life. Black and white. I think they have a color version of it also. It's a very old school. I'm about to be 43 here in a couple days, so a lot of my stuff is a little bit older in regards to some of the Christmas movies that I grew up on a little bit. But yeah, I'm sure there's probably a couple other ones off the top of my head that I'm forgetting. Remember how the shadow line in Tokyo Drift get weakened by the imaginations of children during Christmas? My best friend and I thought about applying that into our Power Ranger counterparts. They're getting weaker since MMPR themes started breaking everyone's memory spell. The memory spell I was talking about is a spell that they casted on everyone that erased everyone's memories of the Power Rangers in existence. Those with stronger imaginations, as well as Power Rangers themselves, aren't affected. Point is, the high imagination of kids and their beliefs in the Rangers is what makes them weak. How's that? I mean, I kind of dig it. I kind of dig it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Elf in the sense of like the the power of what belief can do, and imagination and stuff, right? Like in the movie, Santa's sleigh is pretty weak because of the morale and the lack of belief in Santa and in Christmas. And it really isn't until the end of the movie when people kind of see with their own eyes to believe that like the imagination and the belief in this stuff like skyrockets and makes Santa and his sleigh stronger. I think it would be cool if it had kind of the opposite effect on people that didn't want you to believe in that stuff or were trying to make you think that um, the Power Rangers weren't real or whatever the case may be. But if you have people that do have that belief, if that grows, then that makes those people that are trying to push back against you just a little bit weaker. So yeah, it would make sense. AJ, the Morphing Grid, Journey from Pain to Power, an inspiring return to the grid. David Yost returned to the Power Ranger franchise for the 30th anniversary projects. Once and always, the Cosmic Fury served as a powerful therapeutic closure to a painful chapter, transforming his original character, Billy, into a tech mogul behind Cranston Technologies and the new mentor who created the Cosmic Fury Rangers powers. This on-screen triumph stands in stark contrast to his traumatic departure from Zeo, which is infamously necessitated by severe anti-gay harassment he suffered on set, a period that led him to attempt suicide and seek rehabilitation before he could fully embrace his identity. Given the deeply personal nature of this harassment, and the eventual celebratory arc given to Billy, do you think this substantial closure portraying the character as a successful, essential, and respected figure was the ultimate, most fitting form of vindication for Yost? Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, they really should have just given David Yost anything that he wanted to. I mean, if this man wanted to write a series, let him write it. He had that was a quantum something that I think I remember David Yost was kind of writing as a television series or a potential series. It didn't come to fruition, but I mean the fact that they brought him back for Once and Always and had such a big role in Cosmic Fury and things like that too, and Once and Always, and really brought him back successfully. Yeah, I think it's very vindicated for him for Yost to the point to where I think he it feels even more prouder of his accomplishments as a Power Ranger. I think he's probably been out to more conventions and talking more openly about it. I mean, you always want these people to feel safe and comfortable and feel at home with a franchise that help make them who they are, despite the pain that it certainly caused them at the same time. And if David Yost, in any way, shape, or form, I know it's never going to erase those memories that he's had, but to be able to give Yost those opportunities that he deserves and really show your appreciation for what he's done for the franchise. You want people like that on your side, that's going to be a proponent for your franchise and speak a positive message, because they've been able to rehabilitate their character and not just their character, but their own personal life, and feeling a little bit more vindicated. That despite everything that he's been through, he comes out on the other end more victorious than he was before. And so, yeah, I think it's a perfect form of vindication for Yost. Doomsday, what's up, Doomsday? Do you have there ever been times where you felt like a Power Rangers opening theme song was longer than it should be? I haven't felt that way, but I'm curious if you have. I don't believe so. Not Power Rangers, maybe. There are some like regular theme songs for shows, yeah, but for Power Rangers, no, not really. I think Power Rangers for the most part is usually pretty well tuned with like how long their opening segment like needs to be. And I don't think it's really changed much over time. If anything, maybe it's shrunken over time. But no, I don't think it's ever been too long where it's like, God damn, like, can we end this opening theme already and just get to the show? But yeah, I don't think I've ever felt that way. Are you ever going to get back into Boomger? Because it's honestly a really good season. And without saying too much, there's a huge twist about one of the Rangers. Not saying which one, but yeah, I really recommend watching it. Maybe at some time Doomsday. I don't want to promise yeah right away. Because there's a part of me that still wants to finish Dawn Brothers and Boomger, and I even want to tap into King Oger a little bit. I do feel like my attention is probably going to turn to this Project Red Space Gavin stuff that we get, but at some point in time, I would like to finish these series. So yes, I would like to get back into a Doomsday. Whether that's going to be today, 6 months from now, a year from now, that I can't promise. I probably won't do reviews for them. I probably will just enjoy them in my own terms. But at some point in time, I definitely will. If Cosmic Fury had used the Q Ranger suits, which of the Power Ranger figures do you think would fit each color? Additionally, which legendary Rangers do you believe would fill the remaining color positions? Oh, yikes. Um, there are so many Rangers, bro. So many Rangers in that show. God damn. Um, give me one moment. I'm just gonna do the Cosmic Fury cast. Um, Now, mind you, I didn't really watch. I didn't really watch all of it. Q Ranger that season. So I think Billy would. I probably would move Billy. So I don't know their personality traits. So I'm just literally going off of costume wise. I still would give Billy the blue, who I believe was the wolf. I think he was like the older one too, if I'm mistaken, kind of like a veteran. Like at least I always imagined Q Ranger Blue being like the one of the older team members, so I probably would give him the blue. I still would give Izzy the green in here. I don't know if that was like a frog or a lizard of some sort, but definitely do that. Um, I probably would stick Amelia Hunter with the pink Ranger. I don't know what constellation that might have been. Um, Personality standpoint, hold on. Can I get the whole cast here, guys? I feel like that's not showing me. Personality, maybe Jordan. I would actually have Jordan, who played Ion. Maybe him as the Red Ranger. Maybe from personality standpoint, was that Lucky, the Red Ranger? I don't know who Homeboy was here with like the red and black, but it looks like he got the military microphone piece on him. That I might have made Zato. Um, Scorpion definitely would have been Ollie. The orange would have definitely been Ollie for me. Who else am I missing? Oh, Javier and Fern. Ooh, is there another female on this team? I don't know the other personalities. I see a yellow there. I see a silver there. Maybe Ollie would have. Maybe Javier would have been yellow. I don't know what the gold one was like. And if there was another female character in there, maybe Fern. But yeah, maybe yeah, probably that's probably where I would land. That's probably where I would land. And Tarek, maybe Tarek would be the Black Ranger, the big fucking guy with the horns. Either that or maybe the Purple Ranger with the freaking wand. That's pretty dope looking too. That's probably who I would put in those roles. But again, that's really going color position and not character position, if that makes sense. Um, Man, there's a lot of questions today. Holy shit. Marky Parko, what do you think about the what do you think was the biggest challenge for the final season of that '70s show? The character Randy Pearson introduced to replace Eric was met with significant negative fan reaction who saw him merely as a stand-in. This fan backlash arguably led to Randy's reduced role in the series finale, where his appearance was limited to a single scene and he was notably absent from the Foreman family party. This limited send-off contrasted sharply with the on-screen return of Eric Foreman in the finale. I don't know. I mean, is it an unpopular opinion to think maybe they should have just stopped the show when Eric left? I mean, I know they had a lot of other popular characters on there too at the time, but I always felt like it was an Eric show, and without him there, it maybe wasn't the same. I don't think I lasted all the way through to that final season. I remember him being replaced, but I don't really remember the lead up to it much or that final season much, to be honest with you. So, um, yeah, I mean, when the people don't like the person that you're being replaced, maybe you shouldn't have replaced them in the first place and just ended the show when Eric left. But maybe they had such good ratings, it was making so much money that they wanted to continue the show despite not being there. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Let's see here. My friends call me Joseph. Have you noticed regarding the topic of Tom Welland's reluctance to fully embrace Superman suit, even after the brief glimpse in the Smallville finale, has been a frequent point of fan criticism. Welland himself attributed this feeling unworthy of the iconic costume, especially given his deep admiration for Christopher Reeves. He considers himself only Clark Kent, viewing Reeve, who got started on Superman, as a true Superman, particularly following Reeves' paralysis. Walter Welling later reprised his role, revealing his Clark Kent had relinquished his powers to live a normal life with Lois Lane, given his enduring respect for Reeve and choice to step away from the hero's mantle. The Tom Welling decision to forego the suit ultimately undermined Christopher cemented legacy as Superman. I think it ultimately honored him. I don't think it undermined his legacy at all. If anything, I think it's kind of really an ultimate honor. I mean, I think that's just really Tom Welling just being a really honest and humble dude at the end of the day. When you think about it, I mean, to be fair, when I watched Smallville, I always viewed it as Clark Kent. Like this. Granted, I don't know if I ultimately looked at Smallville as like, oh, this is the prequel to the Christopher Reeves Superman movies in that regards of it being connected or anything. But I always viewed Smallville as his time in Smallville before he fully went on to embrace who he was as Superman in the movies. Now, that's not to say, um, well, I'm trying to remember now because I remember at some point in time in the movies, he does go to the fortress. He does throw the crystal into the snow and it grows the fortress. He goes in, and then when he comes out, he's flying as Superman, sort of like there's been like a time lapse almost, and then we get into his like later phases in life. But I always felt a disconnect from the Clark Kent that we saw in Smallville, and then that was going to be kind of his own story, right? Like pre-Superman. Like you can hint at Superman and his growth and his things like that. Um, and then maybe that could be one of the reasons why I also fell off of the series too, because it then started trying to tap into Clark Kent becoming Superman and the Justice League and things like that and forming these teams. And it eventually really kind of took a life on its own. But I respect Tom Welland's reluctancy for wanting to do that. I think he understood what his particular role was at the time, um, and who was Superman kind of in his eyes, and who people really viewed as Superman. So I don't have a problem with him not doing more or trying to dome the suit. I think that's an ultimate honor for somebody that he clearly looked up to as Superman. Most talented man in the world what do you think of big stars like Post Malone and Beyonce moving to country music? Got some pushback from older fans who felt that they weren't real country stars because they still mixed in other styles like rap. Do we now count these artists, including independent artists like Savannah Dexter, who got criticized by people in the country movie business for mixing in rap and trap and for songs about gun violence as true country artists? I couldn't tell you, man. I couldn't tell you. Um, there's no such thing as R&B anymore. A lot of the R&B artists eventually um, went into either pop or rap or became semi-rappers where they would rap on the song and sing half the time. I really don't know like a legit R&B song these days. It's one of those things where I think the 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 genre has been lost and the idea of them taking their talents elsewhere. Like maybe those R&B artists did eventually get into country music at some particular point in time. I mean, look, if you're a purist, I can understand how it would upset some people. But I also think at some point, like they are artists, right? And artists in general get bored with doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Um, if you're an artist, who are we to tell somebody to kind of stay in their lane, right? If an artist is truly an artist and writes and produces and stuff, why wouldn't you want to dabble in other forms of music? And if you're successful at it, be successful at it. I think that's what makes you an artist. Um, I think trying to keep artists from exploring their artistic side and keep them in this box, I think is a detriment. Because I do think it helps. What? Look, again, I'm not a big fan of country music as it is. You know, Darius Rucker, he was a fan. He was the lead singer of Hootie and the Blowfish at one point in time. I never looked at a Hootie and the Blowfish song as a country song, but Darius Rucker is an artist. Like I never saw Hootie and the Blowfish as a country band. But then Darius Rucker then took his artistic style and he became a country artist that people probably recognize him as a true country artist, but maybe because he's got that twang in his voice and he maybe plays like what most people like consider country music, right? So is it a problem with the idea of artists coming over and doing country music, or is the idea that they're coming over and that they're mixing styles with it? Who knows? Maybe that opens up a new genre of the country music. Um, Maybe it does hamper the country music genre in some way, similar to how like pop music and rap kind of overtook R&B and started mixing those things, and now we don't have that as a genre anymore. But I think there's always going to be OG purists that want things to stay the same, and maybe those genres continue to shrink while artists continue to get more creative and start blending different genres together to create new music that pushes music forward a little bit. So, you know, I don't, I like Beyonce's music in general. Um, I don't really listen to a lot of Post Malone stuff, but he has become a really big star in that field. But you know, sometimes genres just move past what we're used to. Peg C. Hasbro has canceled the Ninja Kid web series, saying the production looked too professional. Here's the statement. We are doing everything in our power to release episodes 10 through 13 of Ninja Kids, and we have been wanting to share why we haven't, but this is all we can share for now. We submitted a teaser draft to Hasbro and Playmates on September 24th, and a draft of episode 1 on September 26th. Both Playmates and Hasbro initially reacted with excitement and shared that we exceeded expectations. We anxiously awaited additional feedback. Then on October 3rd, the unthinkable happened. The legal team issued a cease and desist claiming Playmates didn't have the authority to make the deal with Ninja Kids. We were later told that the project looked too professional and could interfere with Hasbro's future plans. That was devastating. This was never meant to compete with an official reboot. Some of you later saw the teaser after it got leaked on October 17th. Concerns were raised by a few people about AI and visual effects. What you saw was never meant to be final. We were under tight deadlines to submit a rough cut. Like many productions today, our editors and VFX artists use a mix of traditional techniques and new AI assistant tools to explore ideas quickly. What are my thoughts? I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, in some regards, like if the initial reaction was both from Playmates and Hasbro with levels of excitement and shared that we exceeded expectations, it would be then weird to have them come back and be like, nah, nah, we can't do that. I mean, maybe they saw the rough cut of the trailer by the time the October 3rd hit and they saw the AI and maybe knew that it was immediately going to get like pushback. And so they had them cease and desist. The idea that Playmates didn't have the authority to make a deal with Ninja Kids, I mean, that's kind of crazy that you would allow a production to go as far as it does without saying anything to anybody and just let them use all that money and then be like, "Oh, nope, sorry, you got to cut." Like that's just weird to me that you let that stuff be produced under your nose this entire time and not have a problem with it. There may be some aspects of the idea of it looking too professional, especially when you have a new series set to come out. Because honestly, I'll be honest with you, if the Ninja Kids did not use AI and the special effects looked great and looked the way that it did, I can almost guarantee you there would be an unbelievable amount of anticipation for the Power Ranger Ninja Kids. The AI really undercut this web series, but I can guarantee you, Power Ranger fans that have been dying for more Power Ranger content, had AI not even been included and it was just really great VFX work, they would have eaten that shit up immediately. And the attention would have turned from the reboot to the web series because Power Ranger fans are just like that in the sense of we're just hungry for anything Power Ranger related. And if it looks anything similar to what we got from Saban or Hasbro or Disney era stuff, um, if it looked like that and it felt like nostalgia, we would eat it all up and not really care. And then we'd start asking questions: Is this connected to the other franchises in the other shows within the franchise? Or like it would have taken off a life of its own. Um, so I think maybe that's what happened. I think maybe there was a worry and a concern that, guys, we really want to do this Power Rangers show, but this may overtake us in the sense of level of excitement because of what it's kind of tapping into. So, yeah, I think it would not be surprising if, while they really exceeded expectations, we gotta we gotta shut this down. I thought this was supposed to be a kid show, a web series, no? And then yeah, so yeah, I'm surprised. I think they shot themselves in the foot for sure, though. But like, because it's just like, how do you let something like that continue on without you knowing and allowing them to do all this work, and then to pull the plug on them last minute? So yeah, I mean, the idea of it looking exceeding expectations and the fear that it might overtake and might compete with the official reboot, I think there's something to it personally. Apparently, Netflix and WB launched a new website called NetflixWBTogether.com. Your thoughts? Hey, are they really pushing forward on this? They seem pretty confident that it's going to meet and pass all of the regulatory things that they have to overcome. So I definitely see, they just trying to continue to showcase that they're really collaborative despite the Paramount hostile bid takeover. WB did come out and say they're not going to take that bid, that they're still going to go with Netflix, that Netflix is a safer route for them. And this is just a way to show that they're unity and that they're sticking together and that this is in fact going to happen. And right now, the only thing that's holding them back is the regulatory stuff. But again, both of them feel pretty good about passing the regulatory stuff. So we'll see. It's going to take about a year, year and a half for this stuff to finalize. But to me, this just shows that they're pretty confident. In the YouTube world, tech content creator Lamar Wilson has passed away. Have you ever met Lamar Wilson or interacted with him? I have not. I have not. Lamar Wilson. Oh, he looks familiar. He does look familiar. That's a shame. Died at the age of 48. That's sad. He looks familiar. I don't think I've actually sat down and watched this stuff before, but he does look familiar. Alex Ramirez. What's up, Alex? Appreciate you coming through. What is your favorite tradition during the holiday season and why is it special to you? Oh God, I don't know if I have any. Oh, well, I guess holiday tradition wise, I can't say I do it every year, but I try and like to do this stuff every year. I do like to drive around and look at houses that are decorated. There are some neighborhoods that have like decoration contest or like you just go blocks and blocks of decorations and just drive around. I do like trying to get out and look at Christmas lights, whether that be getting some hot cocoa or coffee and just driving around town, looking at some of the lights in some of the really nice neighborhoods, or at least trying to go out and do something Christmas themed. Some places they'll have like, I don't want to say like a petting zoo or things like that, but sometimes they'll have churches or places that will come together and put together big light specials or decorations in like a little field that you can kind of walk around. They sell hot cocoa and s'mores there and things like that, marshmallows you can roast. I like trying to do a little something like that. But outside of that, I don't think we have favorite traditions during the holidays that we try and do every year. Yeah, just watch a lot of Christmas movies, really. If you could travel anywhere in the world to experience a unique holiday celebration, what place would you choose? What celebration would you want? Oh man, man, I don't even know what they do else out in the world. I think any place that would like, I really don't know what they do else out in the world experience for a unique holiday celebration. But if they have reindeers anywhere, that's where I want to be. If they bring out reindeers with like Christmas attire on or something like that, if it be the North Pole, if it be like Norway or Sweden, we're like wherever the fuck I gotta go to see a live like reindeer pulling a sleigh. Boom, I'm there. I'm there. Watching Sarsk. What's up, watching Sarsk? What is your hope that the rumor Brand New Day film will not retcon the consequence of No Way Home by showing Peter Parker dealing with the reality that no one remembers who he is? Consequently, rumors suggest that the film will feature a new boyfriend for MJ, reflecting the fact that the spell erased Peter's identity from everyone's memory while Spider Man still exists. I personally really like the idea that they're not retconning it. I think it does put Peter Parker in a little bit of a dilemma for his life, a fresh start also, but also the idea of being able to see the people that he loved kind of um, grow as people without him and like what the emotional toll on that certainly is. Look, when it comes to Peter Parker, a lot of things really don't go this guy's way. He sacrifices a lot for the people that he loves. So to me, that would certainly hold true to it. Now, I don't want to always see Peter Parker completely like run through the ground. I do think Peter Parker needs the occasional win from time to time for sure. But the idea of not retconning the consequences of No Way Home just makes a lot of sense to me from a storyline perspective. So I'm glad they're sticking to it. And last but not least, we got Nathaniel here. What's up, Nathaniel? Appreciate you coming through today. Um, am I the only one who thinks this? Steve Urkel from the show Family Matters was a teenage genius who invented amazing things like the time machine and reboot, but people mostly ignored his brilliance because he was clumsy and weird. He made a cooler version of himself named Stefan to try and win the girl he loved, Laura, who only accepted the real Steve at the very end. Was Steve Urkel a smart person who was just misunderstood because of how he acted? Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, again, we're talking about the 90s here too. You know, you were definitely ostracized and certainly looked down upon for being a nerd and being weird in the way that you certainly acted. Um, I don't think nerds really became cool until like Marvel movies started happening, and people were like, "Yeah, those comic books that all those nerds and all those, all those really nerdy, weirdy kids started reading. Like, those actually are pretty cool, man." Like, it really wasn't until like comic book movies actually became a thing where nerds were kind of accepted. So yeah, I mean, I think he was just really a very smart person who was just simply misunderstood because of the way that he acted and the way that he dressed, and was very easy to be sort of made fun of and separated from as normal from everybody else. So yeah, very much misunderstood. And Stefan, I think, was his way of trying to fit into society and what people looked at the time as acceptable and being able to embrace, right? Like, if only Steve Urkel was this guy. Like, he was smart, suave, funny, easy to look at, wasn't weird, then he would just fit perfectly into society that way. But it didn't. I am, yes, while it did take Laura to accept Steve for who he was at the very end, the fact that she still accepted Steve, I think, is certainly the point, and one that I think is a very important message to certainly still receive to this day. But yeah, just misunderstood for sure. But thank you so much, Nathaniel, and to everybody else that submitted live viewer questions over here today. That will do it for our live viewer question portion of the show. Um, so yeah, we'll see what we do later on today. Again, I think tomorrow Stuart and I are meant to go ahead and get together. I'm going to message him here after the show is over just to remind him of the two topics. We're probably going to try and review two videos for you guys. We're going to be revisiting our most anticipated movies that we had for 2025. We ranked them at the end of last year. We're going to be re-ranking those in regards to from best to worst, in regards to how they actually hit us at the end of the year. And then we're also going to be doing our top five most anticipated for next year. So certainly go ahead and look out for that one. If anything, maybe we'll drop one of these videos this week and then another video for you guys next week as well. Um, Stuart may want to do also just like a top five of our favorite movies in general for 2025. We'll see if that's something that we end up doing also. But you should at least have two videos coming to us over the next 2 weeks as we wrap up this year and look forward to the next. I don't know what other cool things we're going to be getting revealed as we only have just a couple of weeks left for the remainder of the new year. We do have Stranger Things Volume 2 dropping Christmas 20 Christmas here later this week. If we have any other big trailers, if we have any other big news announcements that I feel need to be talked about in its own individual movie, we certainly will go ahead and do that for you guys and post it up on the YouTube channel. But other than that, that's going to do it for here. Do it for me here. If you want to follow us on social media, we're everywhere at 8+ Opinions. Very active on our Facebook page. I highly recommend that you check us out over there. That's where we keep you up to date all week long. We drop news articles with new information, posters, behind the scenes featurettes, new images, first look stuff. We keep you up to date all week long, and then we take 6 topics from there and we talk about them here on our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go ahead and do so and click that bell notification so when we drop brand new videos, you guys will certainly be notified. And then, yeah, everywhere else at A Plus Opinions, guys. But that will do it for me here. I plan on being back with the episode next week. It'll be after Christmas. So everybody enjoy your holiday. Merry early Christmas to all of you. Have a fantastic time with your friends and family. And stay safe out there. But I will certainly see you guys next weekend. And until then, do me a big favor, as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A plus. I'll talk to you later. Bye.